The following is a Molstar Communications production in association with CKND Television. After a season full of frustration, there is renewed excitement about the Winnipeg Jets and their prospects in the future. New players have created a new atmosphere and attitude. Players like Dallas Drake and Dave Manson, who in 2 games has solidified what has been a shaky blue line brigade. Tim Chevaudet, who has given the Jets solid goaltending that wins games. General manager and coach John Paddock is putting together all the pieces, and next season can't come soon enough for Jet fans. Teemu Selanne will be fully recovered from an Achilles injury that ended his season too early. And Teppo Numminen, consider the defense the Jets will have with Teppo and Dave. The future does look hopeful to the fans of the Jets, who can envision a return to the playoffs once again and a team that they can proudly call their own. Tonight, from the arena, it's the Jets and the Montreal Canadiens, live on CKND. Molson Jets Hockey on CKND is brought to you by the Molson family of beers, naturally aged and free of preservatives. With 24 Stanley Cup championships, it's always a special occasion whenever the Montreal Canadiens come to town, and tonight is no different. The arena is jammed to the rafters. The majority of the fans have come dressed in the blue, blanc, and rouge colors of the Habs, and here is one friendship that's going to be put to the test tonight. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Molson Jets Hockey on CKND. I'm Joe Pascucci. A couple of streaks on the line tonight. The Canadiens are undefeated in 11 games. They're just 1 point back of the Northeast Division leading Pittsburgh Penguins with 2 games in hand, and they'll make up one of those games tonight. Whether they make the playoffs or not, the Jets would like to finish on a positive note, and they've won 2 games since acquiring Dave Manson from the Edmonton Oilers. The Jets still have a mathematical shot at making the playoffs. They are 15 points back of the San Jose Sharks, who hold down the 8th and last playoff spot in the Western Conference. Anaheim and Los Angeles 6 points back. The Kings at home to the Vancouver Canucks tonight. Of course, Wayne Gretzky trying to break Gordie Howe's mark tonight with goal number 802. If he scores that goal during our telecast, we will show it to you. With more on tonight's game between the Jets and the Canadiens, here is Bruce Buchanan and Harry Neal.
Thanks, Joe. Good evening, everybody. Harry Neal, the NHL's trading deadline was Monday, and there was a lot of action. Your reaction?
Well, it's always a flurry of trades at the end. You know, when teams don't make trades, they're often criticized. Sometimes they like their team, like Montreal, so they didn't make any. Other teams, like the Jets, make trades before the deadline. So you're not a bad boy if you don't make a trade at the trading deadline. And
one of the trades the Jets made before the deadline with Edmonton acquiring Dave Manson, and so far, he's given the Jets a spark.
Well, Dave Manson's got something going that few players in the National League have, is that he scares the opposition. They had a weigh-in after they got Manson and found out almost every Jet grew 2 inches and put 30 pounds on. He has that kind of an effect. This trade by John Paddock was for now, not the future. He's been criticized a little for the trade. But John knows that they have to sell season tickets and they have to get better now. And Manson is a catalyst and has been with every team he's played for.
The Canadiens come in here unbeaten in 11 games, but they tend to have trouble with teams that are lower in the standings.
Well, that's probably true for all the teams that are sitting up in the top third of the standings. Tonight, they're going with some newcomers in the lineup. They're not playing Patrick Roy. I think that'll be fuel for the Jets to use as a motivational factor. However, you still have to beat them once the game starts, and this would be a big win, but it would be classed as an upset for the Jets.
Canadiens usually do it with defense, but they don't score a ton of goals offensively, but their leader is definitely Vince Damphousse.
Yes, they've only lost 3 times in the last 22 games. This guy scored 34 points in those 22 games, and I think that that's not coincidental. They, as you say, don't have a lot of offensive talent. He's the best offensive player. He may be the best playmaking winger in the league. He's enjoying an 8-game point streak with 15 points and trying to make it 9 tonight.
Thanks, Harry. We're expecting a good one tonight as the Jets go for their 3rd victory in a row. Up next, we'll have the opening face-off between the Montreal Canadiens and Winnipeg Jets, live on CKND.
Lord.
free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Close to a sellout crowd expected as the Jets hook up with the Montreal Canadiens. Patrick Waugh gets the net off. 26-year-old Ron Tugnut starts for Montreal. His last start was March 12th in a 4-4 tie with Philadelphia. And playing his 5th game as a Jet, 26-year-old Tim Cheveldae. He's been the first and second star in the last 2 games won by the Jets. The referee tonight is 35-year-old Mark Fossetti, worked last night in Calgary. The linesman Mark Wheeler and Pierre Rosico. Harry, the Canadiens have not lost to a Central Division opponent this season.
They haven't lost to many at all in the last month and a half. One thing Montreal does probably better than any other team in the league, they don't beat themselves very often. They force you to beat them, and if you make many mistakes, they take advantage of it.
Steen, LeBlanc, and Shannon start for the Jets. It's Muller, Keane, and Brunet for the Canadiens. Mike Keane, a hard pass for Brunet that failed to click, and here's Thomas Steen racing down the right side for the Jets. Good move on Schneider. Darren Shannon in front for Steen, and good back checking by Kirk Muller. Here's Keane on the left side to Brunet. Muller joins the rush for Montreal. Centers it, hit the leg of Daryl Shannon, and he plays it off the glass to the point, where Darren Shannon moves it out against the suddenly high-scoring Lyle Odeline. Here's Dave Manson for Winnipeg. Here's Emerson moving right and shoots. Scores!
Well, Tugnut made the save, but he slid into the net with the puck underneath him. And it was kind of a delayed goal. What a lovely backhand pass right here by Manson. He's got to put it up in the air. It comes down right there, and the shot is stopped by Tugnut, as you can see. But he slides into the net with the puck. And the Winnipeg Jets, Nelson Emerson, get the first goal at the 42nd mark of the period. And when Winnipeg scores first, they're 18-12-4. When the opposition scores first, they're 3-32-4. Tugnut is complaining that he thought the whistle should have gone because the puck was underneath him. But I don't think they're going to win on this one. That's a question not the video goal judge decides. The referee decides, did the whistle go before it went in or not? And the answer is no, and the score's 1-0.
Nelson Emerson, the announcement has been made, his career high 28 of the season at the 42nd mark. Lovely pass from Manson, as Harry was mentioning. And the Jets get the jump 1-0 on Montreal. Darren Shannon also assisting. Couple of collisions along the boards. Here's Emerson again for Winnipeg. He was the first star against Detroit Saturday with a couple of goals and is picked up where he left off tonight. Ulanoff, his pass off the back of a leg, and it's Desjardins for the Canadiens. Paired on defense with Brian Fogarty. His shot at the center, Ulanoff for Winnipeg. Desjardins backing up. Stefan Quintel shoots it into Montreal territory. Here's Fogarty. Lost it to Chris King near center. Play broken up at the line by Desjardins. Leclerc drop pass to Bellows. Went between his skates. Damphus runs into Eagles. And here's Ty Domi for Winnipeg with Chris King. Big crisscross at the line. Domi falls down and hooked the shot through the crease. Damphus to John Leclerc. Canadiens make a change. McBean to Mike Eagles. Working down the boards against Brisebois, pushed into the glass. Domi runs into Roberge behind the net. King to Eagles behind the net. Domi setting up in front. Eagles unable to center it. Daigneault knocked off the puck by King, shot it to the crease, and Domi got a piece of it. Now it comes to the crease again, and Tugnut will cover up with the Jets buzzing around from the arena. Your Molson Dry telecast.
If you promised yourself you'd quit listening to all the new developments in the beer wars these days, we'd like to give you one good reason to think again. Well, make that two. Carling, a classic 5% Canadian beer. And Carling Light, fully brewed to 4%. We've always brewed great beer. Now we're also the best value in the beer store. The time is right for Carling.
Play Score and Win at Safeway. When the Jets score on CKND, you could win Macassa's Elegant Maxima Dinnerware from the Belterre pattern, a GE Spacemaker 2 microwave oven, the Best of Tefal featuring the new Cool Wall Deep Fryer, or the Piggyback from Samsonite. Our strengths are legendary. At the end of each game, we will award a Canadian Holidays Vacation for Two to Walt Disney World Resort. Safeway's participating products, Kleenex facial tissue, and Mitchum deodorants. Score and Win, another reason we're today's better way.
In the Score and Win contest, Howard Contois of Thompson qualified by attaching a proof of purchase from Campbell's Tomato Soup to a ballot provided by Safeway. As a result, Howard has won Sultan Gourmet Kitchen Appliances.
Well, Ty Domi had a chance to make it 2-0, but he got a flat tire going around the corner here and never did get much on the shot.
Dave Manson with his second assist as a Jet, and Darren Shannon extends his scoring streak to 8 games on the goal by Nelson Emerson.
John Paddock's got his big line against the Montreal's line of Fleming, Roberge, and Wilson.
Dino behind the net. Down the boards to Roberge with Wilson and Fleming. Fleming playing his first NHL game, goes 6'5", 245 pounds. Roberge back to Dano at his own line. Drake and Kachuk into forecheck for the Jets, who lead 1-0. There's another pass off a skate. Emerson to Drake off his skates, and out comes Dano for Montreal. 3 of them hit the line to Petrov. Didn't get much on the shot, nearly fanned on it. Poked to the corner by Cheveldae. Giannis hooked down. Ryan Savage backhands it, kicked out by Cheveldae. Rebound, Savage in front. Here's Petrov shooting. Hit Cheveldae in the back. He was down. I think the shot would have been wide anyway, Harry, but caused some excitement for the fans.
Well, Cheveldae 2-2 and no ties for Winnipeg. He's allowed only 5 goals in the last 3 games. He's been outshot 156 to 110, and you know you're hot when you're a goaltender and you start making stops with his back. Now you're right, Bruce. I think the shot would have gone wide. Cheveldae didn't know where it was, and he gets all turned around here. The puck went off Kennedy's skate right to Wilson, who backhanded it into the back to Cheveldae. The score stays 1-0 Jets in what I think is going to be an entertaining hockey game.
The 23-year-old Savage just called up from Fredericton for tonight's game. The Canadiens resting quite a few players, on the Jets without 3 of their top performers in Jamnoff, Solani, and Newman. Jamnoff out with back spasms again. Solani and Newman gone for the year. Odeline slops it in for Montreal. Came off the corner boards to Dave Manson. Petrov to the point to Matt Schneider. His shot off the stick of Craig Fisher, and the puck goes sailing into the seats.
Well, Matthew Snyder's one player who's really brought his game up to a new level lately. 3 goals in the last 2 games, 14 points in the last 13 games. Leads the Montreal Canadiens in power play goals. He really has a knack of knowing when to join the rush or come off the offensive blue line. And he can shoot the puck.
The last Canadiens defenseman to get 20 goals in a season was Chris Chelios back in '87. Schneider's done that this season. Born in New York City. Craig Fisher to Manson. Fisher recalled on an emergency basis, with Jamnoff still experiencing those back spasms. Went to Moncton and came back again. Romanek from the corner in front for Fisher, and Odeline, his pass over the stick of Keane. Daryl Shannon shoots it in for Winnipeg. We played nearly 4 minutes in the first period. Nelson Emerson with a goal. It's 1-0 Jets. Matt Schneider, pass it center to Winnipeg-born Mike Keane. He was knocked down by Daryl Shannon. Out comes Borsato for the Jets with Fisher and Daryl Shannon. Pass behind Fisher. He's checked by Odeline. Borsato picks it up to the backhand. He's flattened by Schneider. Kurt Muller for Montreal. Captain Kurt gets it to Benoit Brunet. Moving in against Daryl Shannon. Manson put it on Muller's stick. To the slot. Brunet shoots at a pad saved by Chevelday. And the puck is cleared by Darren Shannon.
Best stop of the night by either goalie right there in the left pad of Tim Chevelday. Would look like a goal away from the Canadiens.
Eric Desjardins made a move around John LeBlanc. He leads the Canadiens into Winnipeg territory to Domfus in front. And that just failed to click as Leclerc went for the net. He centers it, but Manson picks that off for Winnipeg. Good pace in this first period. Jets on top 1-0. Brian Fogarty with another NHL shot, this time in Montreal. Bellows to Leclerc. He was hooked by Quintel. Ulanov plays it to Quintel in the corner. His pass off the stick of Domfus. Canadiens keep it in. Domfus to Bellows. Back to Domfus. Behind the net to Bellows. To the side of the goal. Quintel has it for Winnipeg. Flips it to the line. Desjardins keeps it in. Quintel gets it back in the corner. Up the boards for Darren Shannon. The Jets were in a little trouble there. And Shannon decides to ice the puck as Fogarty goes back to touch it. Nelson Emerson at the 42nd mark. Maddox Jets lead 1-0.
This is Reimer country. Fast, economical, guaranteed service. Shrinking time and costs to deliver goods across the West, throughout Canada and the United States, right to your door. Reimer Express, reliable economy, on time or free.
Credit union membership means instant access to your funds around the world. And in Canada, direct payment lets you pay cash without carrying cash. Now we've added the convenience of teleservice so you can pay bills, transfer funds, or obtain up-to-the-minute transaction histories, interest rates, and account balances from any touch-tone phone. Credit union membership, the best of all worlds, and a world of convenience.
Well, here are the scratches for tonight's game. For Winnipeg, they're all hurt. For Montreal, they're not. Guy Carbonneau's in Florida taking a week off, trying to rest him up for the Stanley Cup playoffs. I don't know about that move. Doc Demers has lost 31 pounds. Should have given it to Oleg Petrov. He could use some of it.
Jock in fine shape as the Canadiens approach the playoffs, and many people think they'll be difficult again when the postseason gets underway. Gunning for a 25th championship. Petrov behind the net for Dion. He fanned on it. Savage unable to get a shot away. Tkachuk for Winnipeg. Fires it into Montreal territory. Tugnut plays it himself to Dion. Puck hopped over the stick of Nelson Emerson. Dallas Drake working in the corner. Couldn't make a play, and out comes Savage for the Canadiens. Long shot goes wide of the Winnipeg goal. Wayne McBean up the boards to Drake, to Keith Tkachuk. Neither one of these teams have played since Saturday, and they've come out flying here tonight. Tkachuk in the corner. Tied up by Daigneault, and Daigneault gets it back. On the right side for Petrov. Made a move around McBean. Petrov to the backhand. He's hauled down, and play continues. And the Canadiens fans, and there's lots of them here, booing that.
Well, I think that would have been called a penalty if Mr. Fawcett had been able to see the replay.
Eagles takes a run at Robert. Top line on the ice again for Montreal. Ron Wilson is offside on the play.
Well, Petrov looked to me like he might have been able to outleg any Winnipeg Jet and get to the net. And here it is here. McBean can skate. I don't know whether he's any faster than Petrov. There's the trip. Kennedy may have had Petrov cut off, but this bipartisan crowd, many of them hooted in displeasure when that penalty was not called. The Montreal Canadiens 7-0-4 in their last 11 games. They're riding the high wave. John Paddock, 3 games in a row. They haven't won 3 games in a row since October 24th to the 27th. Philadelphia, Florida, and Tampa. Games 8, 9, and 10. That was 3 centuries ago in John's mind, I'm sure.
Many people forget the Jets starting the season at 6-3-2. The wins have been few and far between since then, but they're going for their third straight tonight. Here's Eagles with Domi and King. King for Domi in the slot. And Ron Wilson, who played over 500 games as a Winnipeg Jet, was back checking there. Big Fleming dumps it in for Montreal. Ulanoff out to center. Desjardins to Brian Fogarty. Signed as a free agent out of the International League by Montreal. Has played pretty well. Former top defenseman in the Ontario League. Desjardins gets away from King. To Ron Wilson. For Roberge in the corner. Ulanoff stepped into him. Brunet to the point. Shot went just wide from Fogarty. King dumped it to center. Desjardins across to Fogarty. To Brunet. Waits. Now lets the shot go, and it deflected wide. Ulanoff. Pass at center, rolling puck. The Domi couldn't corral. Kirk Muller just signed to a new contract yesterday by the Canadiens. Keane to the corner, knocked down by Ulanoff. He banks it off the boards for Fisher. He was checked from behind by Brunet. Brunet still checking him. Keane heads to the net. Muller has the puck in front for Keane. And good back checking there by Romanuk. Brunet and Fisher in the corner. Keane stepped into Romanuk and dumped him. Here's Muller in the slot. Shoots. Kicked out by Chevrolet. Odeline to Schneider. Fakes the shot. Back to Odeline. Slap shot off the side of the goal. Mike Keane. Pressure here by the Canadiens. Jets running around. Odeline at the left point. Gulped it into Muller. Rolled to the front of the net. And Romanuk in desperation gets it to Fisher, who's one-on-one against Odeline. Took not the save. Just past the 9-minute mark in the first period. Still 1-0 Jets, but the Canadiens beginning to press. Domfus kicks it to Muller. Dean stays with him. Domfus overskated it. Here's LeBlanc for Winnipeg. Back in the lineup because of the Paul Isobar trade to Chicago. Daigneault. His pass picked off by Daryl Shannon. Flipped it around the boards. Domfus to the rolling puck. He's bumped by LeBlanc. Out for Leclerc at center. Darren Shannon to Thomas Steen. Can't get the shot away. Here's Shannon. Back for Daryl Shannon, and his shot went just wide. LeBlanc turning in the corner with it. For Steen in the slot. That's clubbed ahead by Leclerc to Domfus. And he shot it to the Winnipeg line. Darren Shannon to Steen. His slap shot didn't get through. Blocked by Daigneault. Brisebois to Bellows. Back to Daigneault.
Keep going, Bruce. You're doing a good job. No whistles. I can't get much in here. This has been a fine hockey game, the first 10 minutes of it.
You're right. Tkachuk can't handle it near his own line. Brisebois skates away from him for Montreal. To Brian Bellows. Has Domfus with him. Bellows waits. In the corner for Leclerc. Hit by Drake. Leclerc goes down. Bellows got a piece of Drake, but Tkachuk is it you can tell. Who's with Emerson 2-on-2. Tkachuk trying to join the attack. Heads to the front of the net. Emerson in front for Tkachuk. And he was tied up by Leclerc. Tkachuk from the corner with it. For Emerson in the slot off the stick of Desjardins. And the puck came outside the line. Play continues on here in the first period. 1-0 Winnipeg. Drake stick handling along the boards. He goes down with Desjardins. Brian Bellows to Gilbert Dion. On the left side, Fogarty, a slap shot, stick save, rebound. And the puck goes to the corner as King stayed with Savage. Dion for Montreal. Slap shot right on, and Chevrolet made another stop. And finally a stoppage as Mark Bossette is calling his first penalty. Canadiens power play when we return.
The Mega Futon Sale is on now at the Fabulous Futon Factory. Place your order today. Double futons for just $100. As a gift or for yourself, the futon is perfect for relaxation and comfort. As a bed or a couch, either way, you'll love it. The Fabulous Futon Factory is slashing prices from 15 to 50%. Hurry in, sale ends soon. The Fabulous Futon Factory, 70 Albert at McDermott in the Exchange District.
Ever wonder what happens to the quackgrass you didn't treat with Roundup? It doesn't go away. One little quackgrass plant can send out 450 feet of rhizomes in a single season, sending out new shoots along the way. Oh yes, be afraid. Be very afraid.
Don't miss Revenge of the Rhizomes, now playing in fields near you. This field is rated R, ready for Roundup herbicide. Now only $9.95 a liter.
After nearly 7 minutes without a whistle, the play is called on a Chris King elbowing call. I'm not sure whether it was here. Savage helmet comes off, but it doesn't look like it was done up. And then Kingston's back out in front of the net and does that to him. Cheveldae made a difficult screenshot. Stop on that point blast.
Muller, Domfus, Bellows, Odeline, and Schneider on the Montreal power play. As Harry mentioned, Matt Schneider leads Montreal with 11 power play goals. They are 8th in the NHL with the man advantage. Bellows drops it to Schneider. Rink wide to Odeline. In the corner to Muller. Muller and Odeline pass it back and forth. In front, Schneider, a shot. Big save by Cheveldae, who came sliding across. And Cheveldae continues to give the Jets strong goaltending.
Well, here's how the Montreal Canadiens have done in the power play. Winnipeg's penalty killing a disastrous 24th. I told you earlier, Schneider comes off the blue line into the slot. Now the Winnipeg right forward, in this case Eagles, gets tied up with the man in front, doesn't realize his point man has gone to the net, and look at the chance Schneider had. Cheveldae takes what looked like a sure goal away from him.
Shots are 6-3 Montreal, 1:31 left in the penalty. Canadiens control it off the draw. The puck got by Schneider. Kurt Muller. Vince Domfus. He was cut off by Eagles. Muller carries it into the Jet zone. Odeline heads for the net. Bellows along the boards. In front, Cheveldae, a pad save again. Muller couldn't stuff it in. Here's Domfus for Montreal. Back to Odeline at the point. To Domfus. Slap shot. Muller right in front, trying to jam it in. He's hit by Manson, and the puck's between the pads of Cheveldae.
Well, Cheveldae made a nice stop. David Manson getting Muller out of the way, so he only had one swing at it. And that's one area where Manson is among the better defensemen in the league, getting rid of opponents in front. A little late getting there, but when he gets there, Muller's out of the way. David Manson, 1 assist in his Winnipeg uniform. Cheveldae has looked great.
57 seconds to go, and the penalty to Chris King. Canadiens make a change with Leclerc, Keane, Dion, Fogarty, and Desjardins. Face off to the left of Cheveldae. Thomas Steen taking the draw against Leclerc. Manson to the puck. Keane checks him in the corner. Manson sends the puck down the ice. Canadiens on a 3-game road trip. They'll play in Chicago tomorrow and Boston on Saturday afternoon. And with bad news for the Bruins, we understand Ray Bourque gone for the rest of the regular season. Now they're without Bourque and Cam Neely. Puck loose in front. Keane hops on it for Montreal to Desjardins. He fakes the shot. Fogarty moving in. Shoot. Cheveldae the save. Rebound goes to Manson, and he shoots it down the ice. And again, then Deck, Leclerc.
The Jet penalty killing forwards have to take the points. They can't get tied up with forwards in front of the net.
Mike Keane. He's ridden out by Stefan Quintel. They both fell down. And the puck slides back to the Montreal line. Just 5 seconds to go on the penalty to Chris King. Shots 11-3 Canadiens, but it's 1-0 Jets. Fogarty a long shot. That's handled by Cheveldae. Gives it to Wayne McBean. Chris King out of the penalty box. To Thomas Steen. Dumps it into the Montreal zone. Romanuk giving chase. Ryan Savage stopping behind the net. He's watched by Thomas Steen with 6.5 minutes left in the first period. Brunet to center. McBean shot it to the line. LeBlanc speeding in on the right side. Goes behind the net. LeBlanc backhand shot. Couldn't get it on goal. And out comes Petrov for Montreal with Brunet. Brunet trying to split the defense. Kennedy stayed with him. Petrov is flattened by Romanuk. And the puck went out as Brisebois couldn't keep it in. Lots of skating, lots of hitting in this first period. Petrov's okay on another rush for Montreal. For Brunet in the corner. McBean around the boards for Eagles. Schneider pinching. McBean backhands it out for Winnipeg. Brisebois setting up behind his net. Matt Schneider chips it ahead to Robert. Looking for Ron Wilson. He was scratched the last 5 games in the lineup tonight. Couldn't get anywhere against Daryl Shannon. Eagles works on the 245-pounder Fleming. Cheveldae wandering a bit. Manson in the corner. Wilson is bumped by Eagles. Daryl Shannon sees Fleming coming and spins away. The puck goes high and into the seats. Plenty of collisions. You're watching the Jets on CKND.
How did this farmer finally manage to get pigs to fly?
It was easier than I thought.
The one and only Yellow Pages. It all starts here.
I hope they're right.
The Keg creates a classic steak dinner. Top sirloin, grilled the Keg way, over hot, burning mesquite, to seal in all its natural flavor and tenderness. Add a baked potato, crispy onion strings, and sautéed mushrooms. A generous Caesar salad, great service, that relaxed Keg feeling, all included. See you tonight.
So come on, you want to go?
Seinfeld.
Well, what about the sleeping arrangements in the cabin?
Same bed and underwear and a t-shirt.
What about me?
Well, you'd be naked, of course.
Thursday at 8.
Don't miss our first intermission tonight. We'll feature Jets hot goalie Tim Cheveldae. We'll hear from another one of the new members of the Jets, Dallas Drake, and the MTS scoreboard.
Well, Romanuk delivers the best hit of the night on little Oleg Petrov, 5'8", 160 pounds. Serge Savard told me he's thinking of saving a little transportation money with Petrov. He's going to fax him from one NHL city to the other rather than buy him an airplane ticket. That's the size of the puck in the eyes of Cheveldae when he's playing as well as he's playing now.
Face off just to the right of Cheveldae. At the edge of the circle, Drake and Ron Wilson. Canadiens make a fast change off the draw. Daryl Shannon to center. Desjardins right back for Montreal to Vince Domfus to the backhand. And that's snagged by Cheveldae.
Well, the Montreal Defense Corps this year, compared to other years, really become involved in the rush and in the offense. And Domfus gets the shot, but it's the rush initiated by the Montreal defenseman after the turnover right here that gives Domfus the chance. Right here, there's the pass. A nice backhand wide of the net. Cheveldae makes a good catch. When you're on an 8-game goals point streak like Domfus is, you get everything at the net. The puck has eyes when you're playing that well.
Harry, remember when the Canadiens were questioned for going with such a young defense? No one's questioning that anymore, are they?
Well, they're not a physically tough defense corps, with the possible exception of Odlin or maybe Haller, who's not dressed tonight. But they're very quick, very good with the puck, and they recognize danger as well as any 6 defenseman in the league. If there's no play, they get it out into the neutral zone.
Domfus back to Desjardins. The point, his shot didn't get through. Hit the stick of Tkachuk, the Jets' leading scorer, who forced it out. Bellows hooks it in front for Domfus. He's spun around by Manson, his former teammate in Edmonton, and out comes Eagles. Kirk Muller with Domfus. That play broken up by Daryl Shannon, and he scoops it to the Canadiens line. Brian Fogarty. The Desjardins. He slops it in for Montreal. Domfus along the boards with Emerson, has it, centers it for Muller. And out comes Emerson for the Jets with Tkachuk. 4:10 left first period, 1-0 Jets. On And a goal at the 42nd mark by Emerson. Kirk Muller checked at center by Tkachuk. To Nelson Emerson. He's by himself. Brisebois held him up. And it's Tugnut setting it up for Dino. Romanuk took a run at Dino. Borsato for Winnipeg. Off the boards to the Canadiens' lines. Brunet lost it to Fisher near center. Had to wait for Romanuk to get onside. Now he shoots it in for the Jets. Brisebois behind the goal. Watched by Luciano Borsato. Pass through the middle for Keane. Puck went right to Cheveldae, so no icing. And he clears it himself. Daniel backing up. Brisebois to Keane. For John Leclerc. He lost the puck. Fisher moves it to Quintel. Quickly across to Ulanov. Borsato. Kicking at the puck. Brisebois to Schneider. Off the skate of Leclerc. Ulanov cuts right in front of his own net. Gave it to Craig Fisher. Break wide pass by Darren Shannon to Ulanov. Shannon in the corner. Dumped by Schneider. To LeBlanc at the right point. Quick shot steered aside by Tugnut. Darren Shannon back to Quintel. Lets it go. Saved by Tugnut. Rebound in front. LeBlanc back and just scores!
Well, Tugnut made the initial stop on the play and then was in the process of falling when the backhand went in the net. There's a good stop there. The puck comes out in front. LeBlanc wheels around and backhands it. You can see Tugnut in no position whatsoever to make the save. Whether he was knocked down or tripped, I don't know. But he's on his back when the puck goes through him into the net. LeBlanc makes it 2-0 Winnipeg with 2:30 to go in the first period on that, their 6th shot of the period.
John LeBlanc's 4th goal in 10 games with the Jets. Scored 25 in 41 games in Moncton. And as I said, back in the lineup because of Paul Eisenbart's trade to Chicago. John Paddock's Jets have a 2-0 advantage. 17:30 the time of that goal. Quintel and Darren Shannon with the assist. Shannon continues to play fine hockey for Winnipeg, working in the corner again. Comes away with the puck. Shannon shoots. Tugnut to save. Rebound in front. Here's LeBlanc. It turns and shoots. Tugnut has it and hangs on with Darren Shannon crashing the crease. Shirley Hobson of Winnipeg shopped at Safeway, purchased E.D. Smith pie fillings and entered Score and Win. Congratulations, Shirley. You've won a set of Ryobi Workforce Power Tools.
Well, Patrick Waugh, who has been the hot goaltender, he hasn't lost a game in 16 games, if you can believe that. He's getting the night off tonight. He'll be in the nets tomorrow night when the Montreal Canadiens travel to Chicago. Tugnut making a rare start for Montreal. 1-1-1, and this is 4th game as a Canadian.
Ron Tugnut went from Anaheim to Montreal for Stéphane Lebeau. Canadians knew they needed a backup goaltender just in case something happens to Patrick Waugh.
They really don't play their backup guy very much. And it's tough to expect the guy just to step in and be sharp. He plays once every 3 weeks, which is about what Tugnut's done.
Dean Kennedy. Pass bounced off Domi near center. Domi finds it in his skates. Flips it behind the net. Matthew Schneider panned on it, but Eagles was going for Schneider and went past the puck. Fleming. King stepped into him. This line of Domi, King, and Eagles was very effective against the Red Wings. Eagles is wobbly as he heads to the Winnipeg bench.
Ron Wilson really filled him in with a good check. But both coaches like this matchup with their tough guys on against each other. And here's King, Roberge, Domi, and Fleming. All heavyweights. There they go. Ty Domi and Big Fleming, King and Roberge.
The linesmen go to that one first as King ended up on top of Roberge, and Fleming has a bear hug on Ty Domi.
I don't know who's got the bear hug. We know one thing. Domi's got the bear. Looks like Roberge might have hurt his leg as King threw him to the ice.
Roberge limping.
Sometimes when you get knocked down in a fight like this, you hurt your knee or your ankle. And it was just a question of time before this happened. King, Domi, Roberge, and Fleming all yapping at each other, taking swings at each other, and finally when they get paired off in what looked like was going to be the non-fight, Roberge and King continue on, and there goes Roberge, and you can see his skate was caught in a crack, and his right leg as he fell seemed to buckle under him. He can hardly get to the dressing room. That's Mario Roberge. And I'm sure Jock is asking the Montreal player in the bench if he saw what happened. Now watch Roberge's right leg as King knocks him down, and you can see he catches it right there, and down he goes. And his knee hit the boards as well. Oh boy, look at that. I'm sure by the time he got to the dressing room, he was in a lot more pain.
To Mario Roberge, Montreal's number 36, Jerry Fleming, Winnipeg's number 20, Ty Domi, and Winnipeg's number 17, Chris King, each 2 minutes for roughing.
They all get 2 minutes for roughing at 18:55. No play underway again in a spirited first period. Jets on top 2-0. And the hitting continues. John LeClair. Burden into the boards by Manson. Nelson Emerson. They'll declare it. Bellows. To LeClair along the boards for Don Foose. Back to LeClair. Slap shot. And that's steered aside by Chevelday. Dallas Drake to the point. Desjardins shot. Stick save by Chevelday. Fogarty. Behind the net for Bellows. Canadiens pressing for one. Center for Don Foose. But Dallas Drake takes over. He lost the puck to LeClair in the corner. Attempted to feed the point and went to Tkachuk. Gives it to Manson. Long shot. Wide of the net. Dave Manson scored on a similar play against Ron Tugnutt when he played in Quebec, and that spelled the end of him in a Nordique uniform. Quintel scoops it to center for Steen. Darren Shannon to Steen. The horn sounds to end the first period.
Well, the best player on the ice for the Winnipeg Jets, Tim Chevelday. We forget sometimes that he's won 16 games and lost 9 and tied 1 with the Red Wings before he got here. Montreal had the chances. Montreal had the shots. Winnipeg's got the lead.
Nelson Emerson at the 42nd mark. John LeBlanc also scoring for Winnipeg in the first. Coming up next, Joe talks with Dallas Drake of the Jets. The score after 20 minutes of play. The Jets 2 and the Canadiens nothing.
Nelson Emerson with his 28th, John LeBlanc with his 4th, and the Winnipeg Jets leading the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 2-0 after the first 20 minutes of play. And now joining me is one of the new Jets, Dallas Drake. And Dallas, we were talking today about ice time. 7 minutes and 13 seconds for you in that first period. You never saw that much ice time in a game with the Detroit Red Wings usually.
No, it's a big adjustment for me playing that much, especially in one period. So. No, I'm not really used to it. I'm slowly getting into the shape that I think I'm supposed to be in, and it's nice to have that much ice time right now.
Has the shock of the trade worn off?
I think so. The first week was basically an adjustment period for me, and it's tough to get used to your new teammates and saying goodbye to your old friends, but there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to move on.
All right, we were talking again earlier today about the decisions that you had to make. You decided to take the U.S. college route over major junior hockey. Why?
Well, at the time, I wasn't I'm still not a big player, but I don't think I was ready for the 80-game schedule when I was 18 years old. So my coach in junior, his brother coached in the university I ended up going to, and I had a friend that ended up going to that college too. So my parents really pushed it to me. They wanted me to get an education, and probably when I was 16 or 17, I decided that's the route I wanted to go, and that's the end. You know, I went and played junior A Tier 2 and kept my eligibility for college live, and then I went and played 4 years at Northern Michigan.
Can you make a comparison between the fans here in Winnipeg and those in Detroit?
Well, fans in Detroit are great too. You know, they're really supportive, but the fans here, you know, through how the team's done the last couple months, I couldn't believe when I came in how supportive they were of their hockey club. So that's really nice to see. They're really loud and boisterous, and you know, they get right behind us when we play well. So even when we're not playing well, they're still behind us. So that's nice to see.
Dallas Drake, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Dallas Drake of the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets leading the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 2-0. Coming up next, we'll feature Tim Shovelday, one of the other new Jets from Detroit. The Jets lead the Habs 2-0. Our Molson telecast continues after this. Shovelday grew up in
I'm enjoying the game a lot more here than I did in Detroit. And you find that if you enjoy doing something, you have a tendency to play a lot better.
Just an outstanding game for Tim Shovelday and a confidence booster for the Winnipeg Jets.
And another outstanding period for Tim Shovelday, 15 saves, and since his debut against the Vancouver Canucks, just given up 5 goals in 10 periods. The Jets lead the Canadiens 2-0. Is coming your way. This is your Molson Dry telecast.
When you don't win a game in 19 games, other fans will tend to get on you, but last night the response we got with 15 seconds left was unbelievable. It was like the playoffs the last couple of years, all the white noise. It was just unbelievable, and it's a good feeling to have them behind us.
Speaking on behalf of the guys, we really appreciated when they got up on their feet and cheered us last night, because like I said, it's been tough on us, and we know it's been tough on them, so we appreciate their support.
Welcome back to the Winnipeg Arena. The Canadiens and Winnipeg Jets getting set for the start of the second period. The Jets on top 2-0, and they struck early in the first period. Nelson Emerson's 28th of the season from Dave Manson and Darren Shannon at the 42nd mark. And then with 2.5 minutes to go in the first, John LeBlanc with his 4th of the year from Stefan Quintel. Darren Shannon with his 2nd assist of period 1. Shots were 15-8 Montreal.
Oh, before the ice dried, a lovely backhand pass. Manson to Emerson. Tugnut stops it, but his back momentum carries the puck into the net underneath him. LeBlanc on a turnaround backhand. How did Tugnut get down? He got tangled up with his own defenseman. and then was in no position at all to stop LeBlanc's backhand that slid along the ice right through him. Mario Roberge, who hurt his leg in a fight with King, is now leaving the rink in an ambulance. They're going to have a look at his knee. By the time he got off the ice, he couldn't walk on it at all. The replay showed he twisted it on the way down. John Paddock knows this may be a bit of an illusion, but he hasn't had enough of those this year. 2-0. Montreal had 15 shots and had 7 good scoring opportunities. Cheveldae was terrific.
Hope you enjoyed our feature on Tim Cheveldae in that first intermission. He really seems to be enjoying the city of Winnipeg. Just a reminder that the next home action for the Jets is Friday night when the San Jose Sharks will be in town, led by goaltender Arturs Urbe. For tickets, call 780-SEAT. For the Sharks and Jets on Friday, San Jose trying to hang on to the final playoff spot in the Western Conference. Can they do it, Harry?
Well, if they play LA 2 more times after this road trip, if they could get 3 points in the next 3 games on the road, one of them here, it would make it awful tough for LA to catch them.
Drake, Emerson, and Tkachuk, the forward line for the Jets against Leclerc, Domfus, and Bellows. John Leclerc was moved to center about halfway through the season. He's going to stay there the way this line has been going. Bellows with a 6-game streak. Domfus an 8-gamer. Here's Bellows in on the right side. Got a weak shot away. That's grabbed by Cheveldae. Dave Manson to the point. Matt Schneider is there for Montreal. A wrist shot deflected just wide off Manson. Domfus from the corner. Behind the net for John Leclerc. He catches up to it along the boards to Domfus in the corner. Unable to center it against Manson. Blocked by his skate, Dallas Drake. Shoveled it ahead for Daryl Shannon. Schneider pinching in from the point as the Canadiens press to start the second period. Puck just did come out against Odeline, who scored a hat-trick recently against the St. Louis Blues. Dallas Drake, long shot. That's handled by Tugnutt, who plays deep in his net. Bellows to Domfus. Odeline joining the rush for Montreal. Ulanoff backing up for the Jets. You can tell he flips it to Darren Shannon. Schneider at his own line to Domfus. Ulanoff to LeBlanc. Has Darren Shannon with him. LeBlanc poke check by Matt Schneider. Mike Keane. Domfus lost it. Here's Ulanoff in his own zone for Winnipeg. Steen to LeBlanc, and play called on the 2-line offside pass.
Well, there's 2 great races for the playoffs in either conference. I don't think we're going to know who's going to play who or who's going to make it till the last week of the schedule. San Jose sits now 6 points ahead of LA and Anaheim. And in the East, it isn't much better. In fact, it's more complicated. Florida now sitting with 74. Philadelphia, the Islanders, and Quebec is starting to breathe a little bit on the playoff contenders. Florida is beating Toronto 1-0 in Hamilton after 2 tonight.
Your old coach, Harry Roger Nielsen, doing a terrific job with the Panthers. Most people thought they'd fade in the stretch, but they're hanging in there.
Well, he's got a real dedicated group who buy his philosophy, and he's getting superb goaltending from Ben Beesbrook.
This will be icing against the Jets as Fogarty is back to touch it for Montreal.
Well, Fogarty's a guy, as you mentioned, Bruce, that was on the railroad going out of professional hockey, got his life straightened around, was playing for Kansas City in the International League. The Montreal scouts saw him, decided to sign him as a free agent and give him a chance. This guy broke Denny Potvin and Bobby Orr's point record that stood up for years in the Ontario Hockey League when he played for Niagara Falls.
Well, that tells you right there he has some ability.
Well, it's never a question of his ability. It was his disability that was keeping him out of this league.
Also stops in Atlanta and Las Vegas. He's seen some countryside this season. Thomas Steen. Desjardins for Montreal to Benoit Brunet. Muller heads for the net. The pass was behind him as Steen clears it for the Jets. Puck slides into Tugnutt. Desjardins for Montreal. Swings away from LeBlanc to Keane at center. On the left side for Brunet. Ulanoff back to pick it up for Winnipeg. Around the boards to Darren Shannon. To LeBlanc at center. He shoots it into the Montreal zone. Tugnutt leaves it for Desjardins behind the net. Jets trying to forecheck. Brunet can't clear it. Now he does. To Muller. And LeBlanc backhands it in for Winnipeg. Jets will make a change. Here's Fogarty for Montreal. To Brunet. Domi to Chris King. Domi trying to go for the net. Back for him. He's hooked down by Ron Wilson. And the Canadiens will get a penalty. Chris King into the slot. Pushes it to the corner. Fogarty touches it. And Ty Domi draws a penalty. The first to the Canadiens, at least to be shorthanded.
Is this your average wave? Is this your average beer? Molson Special Dry with the original dry brew taste. Now with a special new look. The next step in the evolution of beer. Molson Special Dry. It just could be the best beer ever brewed. Anytime, anywhere. Catch one.
Play Score and Win at Safeway. When the Jets score on CKND, you could win $500 in MasterCard Travelers checks from the Bank of Montreal. A set of Ryobi Workforce Power Tools. From Sultan, a selection of gourmet kitchen appliances. Or a set of Dirt Devil vacuums from Royal Appliance. At the end of each game, we will award a Canadian Holidays vacation for two to Walt Disney World Resort. Safeway's participating products, McCain Tetra Juices, also Sugar Crisp and Alphabet Cereal. Score and Win, another reason we're today's better way.
Well, here's how this chance took place. Fogarty, the defenseman at the top of your screen, sliding in the boards, just looking around, gets trapped right there. And the 2-on-1 is underway. He battles back, as does Ron Wilson, who hauls Domi down to give the Jets a power play.
Their first of the hockey game. 37-year-old Ron Wilson was a playing coach with the Jets farm team in Moncton before being traded to St. Louis, then signed as a free agent by Montreal. McBean to Emerson, the slap shot wide. Steen at the side of the net. Played the puck off the back of the goal. Schneider stayed with him. Emerson at the left point. To Darren Shannon in the corner. Thomas Steen behind the goal. Back to Shannon. Can't jam it in on the short side. Loose puck. And it's batted out by Schneider.
The Montreal penalty killers are not as aggressive as many of the teams in the National League. They tend to sit in the box a little longer than a lot of teams do.
Emerson to Wayne McBean. Dumps it into the Montreal zone off the stick of Tugnutt. Tkachuk behind the net. To the point for Emerson, and he can't catch up to it. Emerson to Thomas Steen. Checked at center by Brunet. Then McBean loses the puck. Brunet moving in, slap shot, and a nice save by Tim Cheveldae off Benoit Brunet. Boy, he looks cool tonight, Harry.
Well, Brunet is the leading shorthanded scorer for the Montreal Canadiens. He's got 4 shorthanded points, 3 of them goals. Here are the power play stats for Winnipeg, 11th against the 8th best penalty killing group in the Montreal Canadiens. 2 mistakes on this, once by Steen and then by McBean, allow Brunet to get in and take a 41-footer that's caught very confidently by Cheveldae. At the other end of the rink, Thomas Steen tries to throw the puck out on the same side of the net that he's going, and it nearly fooled the Montreal Canadiens. As you can see, Schneider got chasing Steen behind the net.
Jets have changed up the power play. Brunet backhands it in. They have 50 seconds to go. Manson and Quintel playing the points with Fisher, LeBlanc, and Romanek, the forward line for Winnipeg. Quintel drives it in. Fisher along the boards after a rolling puck. Romanek from the corner didn't get much on the pass. Desjardins can't clear it. Puck bounced off Desjardins past Quintel. Ryan Savage. Cut off by Manson at the line. Quintel up the boards to Manson. for Fisher. He can't handle it. Daniel backing up. Vincent Domfus killing seconds to Gilbert Dion. Takes a look, long shot, and a stick save by Cheveldae. Manson around to LeBlanc. Penalty is over to Ron Wilson. LeBlanc one-hands it to Romanek. He was checked at center by Domfus. Fisher after it for Winnipeg. Domfus can't get his stick free from Fisher, who had lost his. Snyder shoots it in. McBean behind the net. 5.5 minutes gone in the second period. 2-0 Jets. First period goals by Emerson and LeBlanc. Eagles chips it in. Here's Domi giving chase against Odeline. Schneider down the boards. McBean from the left point. That hit Ron Wilson and bounces to Domfus. A high pass. McBean dumps it back in. Chris King pushed off the puck by Ron Wilson. McBean in his own zone for the Jets. It's Brian Bellows trying to clear it, gets it back. Canadiens sending 2 men in. Out comes Chris King for the Jets with Eagles and Domi. Pass to Domi. The slap shot. Blocker saved by Tugnut, and he pounces on the rebound. From Winnipeg Arena, your Molson Dry telecast.
The difference is, you got it, the people at Park Pontiac.
Park Pontiac was the #1 retail Pontiac Buick GMC truck dealer again in Manitoba last year, and they're ready to do it again in '94. But Park Pontiac doesn't just sell new cars. They've got a great selection of trades and late-model used cars, too, including a wide variety of low-mileage GM program cars. You know where to go, don't you?
You got it, Park Pontiac.
Last year, when Canadian Tire reduced prices on hundreds of products, the impact was huge. And this year's news is just as big, because now we're reducing prices on MotoMaster tires. It's not a sale, but guaranteed low prices every day on quality MotoMaster tires made by leading North American manufacturers. It's just one more way we save you money, today and every day. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire for a lot less.
The Jets this week is seen Saturdays at 6 on CKND and features an informative behind-the-scenes look at the week's activities surrounding the Jets. For up-to-the-minute highlights and information, tune in to the Jets this week, Saturdays at 6 on CKND. Jets continue to lead 2-0 over the Canadiens. 6:20 gone in the second.
Well, penalties handed out after the whistle. Odeline, Fleming, Kennedy, and King are all in the box. We'll have to wait and see what the call is.
Montreal's number 36, Jerry Fleming, and number 24, Lyle Odeline. Winnipeg's number 26, Dean Kennedy, and number 17, Chris King. Each 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct. Time to penalty 6 minutes, 20 seconds.
Lyle Odeline leads the Canadiens with 257 minutes in penalties on the season. All get unsportsmanlike conduct. Mark Fossett in charge of tonight's game. There's a look at Jets associate coach Andy Murray on the bench with John Paddock. LeClaire wins the draw from Dallas Drake. Here's Drake talking about the fans at the Winnipeg Arena being very supportive of a team that has struggled for most of the year. And the Jets are trying to reward them for that support with a late season flurry. Big collision just outside the line. Bellows went after Daryl Shannon. And the Jets are called for icing as Daniel mixes it up with Keith Tkachuk.
Well, this has been a chippy game right from the beginning. One time it was King, Domi, Fleming, and Roberge that were causing most of the trouble, but the epidemic has spread to other players. And there's a little bit of nastiness in the air tonight here at the Winnipeg Arena. There's been some good body checks tonight, thrown by both teams, and here's one of the better ones right there. I think Daryl Shannon. threw the check on Brian Bellows and knocked him down. Well, there's more penalties coming here. Tkachuk and J.J. Daigneault are going to go. Jacques Demers going to Jacques Laperriere, asking or explaining something. One of the great defensemen of all time, Jacques Laperriere.
Harry, I think we've had more whistles in the second period than we had the entire first period.
Well, Bruce, you wouldn't remember this because you're too young, but 42 years ago tonight, a Winnipeg resident, Bill Mosienko, and I hope you're listening, Bill, scored 3 goals in 21 seconds for the Chicago Blackhawks, a record, Bruce, that I can't imagine anyone beating.
They say records are made to be broken. You're right, I can't see anybody doing that.
Boy, there were few, if any, better skaters than Mosienko. So, Bill, I hope you're having pleasant memories of that great night when you were with the Blackhawks.
Penalty box is full as Daigneault and Tkachuk go off. Mike Eagles for Winnipeg. Shoots it in off the corner boards. Eagles 1 assist away from 100 in his NHL career. Ulanov flips it off the glass. Strange bounce went to Steen. Shannon can't stuff it in, and Tugnut covers up.
Brian Fogarty, it's always a chance you take when you're a defenseman and you try and tap the puck to your goaltender so he can smother it. Every once in a while, you tap it a little too hard and score. Now watch Fogarty, 44, right here. He's got the puck, and he just gives it a little shove to Tugnut. Tugnut got it, and the guy that's breathing most easily now is not Jacques Demers. It is Fogarty.
Jacques Demers' dream was to coach the Montreal Canadiens when he was growing up, and he led them to the Stanley Cup last season. Started this year with a .500 record in his NHL coaching career, and he's naturally a little above that. Canadiens challenging for first in the Eastern Conference, or at least their division. Here's Fogarty. His pass off the stick of Savage. Aaron Shannon. Pass too far ahead for Thomas Steen. And Shannon, go Jets go, trying to drown out Canadiens fans in the audience. Cantel's shot drifted wide. Steen in the corner with it to Darren Shannon. For Ulanov, who cruised in from the point. He was checked by Petrov beyond to center. On the left side for Savage, but the pass went over the glass and out of play.
Well, in the last 10-game stretch, we've always got teams that are on a roll. Boy, the New Jersey Devils doing it very quietly. Pittsburgh coming to life. St. Louis taking all kinds of roster moves. 2-7-1 in Ottawa. They've been in the tank since training camp. Montreal and Winnipeg sitting right there. Montreal, of course, has gone 11 games without a loss.
Fisher and Muller for the draw near center. 12:08 left second period. Winnipeg 2, Montreal nothing. Brisebois to Muller at center. Carries it into the Jet zone. In the corner for Brunet. Daryl Shannon kicking at the puck. The battle continues. And Romanek tips it out for Winnipeg. Brisebois back in his own zone to Matt Schneider. To Kirk Muller. Grabs it right after Mario Lemieux. Slides it in for Brunet. Romanek bumped by Keane. Daryl Shannon flips it out. Muller forced by Fisher. Brisebois to Schneider. Schneider to Mike Keane. Hansen takes him out of the play. Drake around to Darren Shannon. He saw Kirk Muller coming, and Muller went to the ice. Matt Schneider leading the Canadiens to center. Pass too hard for Brian Bellows. Ulanov back to touch it, and the Canadiens Our call for icing with 10:45 left in period 2.
Well, one of the most uncomfortable feelings you can experience as a hockey player is to find out that someone's one step closer to you than you thought he was. And Muller found this out right here as he goes to hit Shannon. Shannon sees him coming and takes a quick step into Muller and knocks him down. Here's another look at it. Now Muller thinks he's got Shannon for a hit. Shannon sees him coming, and the sudden stop jarred every bone in the body of Muller, who's the captain tonight, filling in for Guy Carbonneau, who's on a 7-day vacation.
And Captain Kirk will talk with Joe Pascucci in our second intermission.
Another reason why Montreal has got things going, Muller, who hurt his shoulder twice, once in training camp and once early in the year, is in the groove and playing great.
Ulanoff gave it away. Domfus a shot. Good save by Cheveldae. Fogarty. Vince Domfus stoned by Tim Cheveldae. And the fans are chanting Chevy again. Emerson for Kachuk. He didn't see the pass coming. Desjardins beats into the puck, and it's icing Winnipeg.
Well, it's been a long time since any positive chanting was going on in the Winnipeg arena about their goaltending. But Domfus, who's the hottest Montreal Canadian, walks in alone as Quintel throws it back, and then the pass is intercepted. And watch Domfus walk in, puck out in front of him, and just after he lets the shot go, he's filled in. There's the shot, the stop, and bango. Dallas Drake runs him over.
Andy Murray having a little chat with Igor Ulanoff about, I'm sure he's telling him, don't give Vince any more chances like that if you can help him. 19 saves already for Tim Cheveldae. Domfus will face off against Mike Eagles. Dave Manson skates away from Domfus. Carries to center and scoops it into Montreal territory. Darren Shannon attempted to feed the point, but it went between Daryl Shannon, his older brother, and Manson. Domfus into forecheck. Out comes Thomas Dean for Winnipeg. A nice move at center. 1-on-1 against Fogarty. LeBlanc trying to join a pass in front for LeBlanc. Goes to the net, scores. The lights on, but will it count?
Well, will Tugnut get up? They'll have to go upstairs for this one. The question is, did the puck go in before the net came off its mooring? Was it knocked in by the hand or skate of the Winnipeg player going to the net? Did the Montreal player knock the net off? All kinds of questions. The video replay judge is going to tell us. I don't know on that replay. Now, you know, the replay has to show that it definitely went in before the net came off. The Winnipeg player LeBlanc was tossed into the goal by Leclerc. The net's off before it goes in, as far as that replay is concerned.
I don't think it'll count, Harry. The Jets had 2 goals disallowed in their game against Detroit on Saturday.
Thomas Dean made a lovely pass through the legs of Lyle Odell, and there's the pass right there. Through Fogarty's feet. Now Leclerc's being back-checked right here by Leclerc. Now the net is, you can see the puck between the legs of Leclerc. The net's off, but you can't see the puck go in here. Remember now, to call it a goal, you have to see that it definitely goes in. And the replay shows, and they may have other replays upstairs. We have a few. They have at least one camera we don't have. They have an overhead camera that we don't. So it's no goal. Face-off goes outside because the Winnipeg Jet player knocked the net off. And LeBlanc nearly scored his second of the night. The video goal judge What did we ever do, Bruce, before we had... You couldn't have guessed whether that was a goal, legal goal or not, without going upstairs to the replays.
Right you are. Give John LeBlanc A for effort. He headed to the net and was shaken up a little bit. I think he'll be okay. Eagles knock down Daniel. Domi in front for King. Couldn't catch up to it.
This line for Winnipeg has caused havoc almost every shift they've been out there. Domi, Eagles, and King.
In case you were wondering, Brian Lewis is the supervisor. Petrov has a step on McBean. Goes to the net. Petrov stopped by Cheveldae. Tried to shovel it in on the backhand, and Cheveldae got a piece of it.
Cheveldae at the last second threw his stick out to make a last-ditch stop to keep the Canadiens off the scoreboard.
And they're chanting Chevy again. Well, you're right, Harry. This line is causing havoc. Corsato's shot bounced off Daniel into Tugnut, and he holds on. Still 2-0 Jets at the arena.
This is Reimer country. Fast, economical, guaranteed service. Shrinking time and costs to deliver goods across the West, throughout Canada and the United States, right to your door. Reimer Express, reliable economy, on time or free.
At Mazda, either way, you win. Get a minimum $1,500 discount or a great deal on a Mazda personal lease. From only $249 for 626 Chronos. From only $199 for Protégé. Mazda, it just feels right.
To help relieve your heartburn and give you something your body uses anyway, Tums has calcium. Calcium helps develop and maintain bones.
I think I'll try the calcium. The Tums.
Calcium-rich Tums.
Well, the slippery little Oleg Petrov, 5 points in the last 7 games, beats McBean on a foot race. Watch the stop Cheveldae makes when it looks like he's beaten. With his arm and his stick right down on the ice. Petrov cutting in beautifully, taking his stick off the puck to ward off a slash or a hook. Did everything right, but did not get the puck up and couldn't beat a sprawling Cheveldae.
6-3, Craig Fisher wins the draw back to Quintel. Into the far corner for Romanek. Schneider for Montreal to Brunet. Couldn't tip it out. Borsado kept it in momentarily, and out come the Canadiens. Muller has Brunet trailing a slap shot off the stick of Quintel, now the glass. Ulanov down the boards, and it came between the 2-point men as Brunet was leveled in the corner.
By his teammate, Muller.
Muller swings it back to Schneider. Borderline to Keane. Ulanov back to collect it for Winnipeg. To Quintel. To Ulanov. Russ Romanek. Dumps it ahead for Emerson. Slap shot, and Tugnut made the save. Fisher turns and shoots, and that's stirred aside by Tugnut. Mike Keane. Into the corner. Tkachuk beats Quintel at the point. The slap shot steered aside by Tugnut.
Dallas Drake didn't touch the puck because he thought if he did before Fisher got off, he would have got a penalty for too many men on the ice. There is a penalty called here at the end of the play, and it looks like Kirk Muller is going to spend 2 minutes or less in the penalty box. 7:26 to go in the second period. Emerson jumped off the bench on a change on the fly and took a pass that put him in the clear right here. There he is off the bench behind the Montreal defense, and from the top of the circle, a rolling puck is well stopped by Tugnut.
Nelson Emerson has 12 points in his last 11 games. 4 of those goals, including one tonight, and he leads the Jets in shots at 255 coming in to tonight's game. He's been a nice addition for the Jets. He and Quintel in the Phil Housley deal.
There's the chop right there by Muller. No doubt about the penalty. The Winnipeg Jets get a chance to make it 3-0 on this power play.
Second power play chance for the Jets in the period. They'll have Steen, Tkachuk, Shannon, McBean, and Emerson. Mark Wheeler, the linesman, over at the Winnipeg bench. Now he's set to go.
Looking at the out-of-town scores here, Ottawa's had 8 shots on goal in 2 periods at home. Detroit's had 28. They should apply for the American League.
Here the shots are 20-16 Montreal, and the Jets on top 2-0 with their second power play. McBean to Steen in the corner. Keith Tkachuk. He'll turn 22 in 5 days. The Jets captain, Steen back to Emerson. To Steen to Emerson. Slap shot. He ripped it just wide. Tkachuk got the rebound, and Pucknut made a nice stop.
Pucknut did make a nice stop. He's looked a little awkward. I think the first goal set him off as far as his confidence is concerned, but he's played pretty well since then. And there's the stop on the turnaround shot. Let's have a look around the National League. 2-1 Buffalo losing to St. Louis. Nedved Prokhorov. There's the one I was talking about. 4-2 Detroit. Avazov with 2 of them. Gilmore ties it up in the 3rd period in Hamilton against Florida. No score in Edmonton. And of course, a later game we have not got a report on. Wayne Gretzky will attempt to fracture Gordie Howe's record. It's 9:30 Winnipeg time at the Fabulous Forum. Vancouver, Gretzky's opponent tonight. I mentioned that Matthew Snyder, I think the most improved defenseman on the Montreal team. 4 game-winning goals, 20 goals.
Nelson Emerson at the left point for Winnipeg. Fakes the shot. Tried to pass it across to McBean and Gilbert Dion. Marcel's brother got his stick in the way. Thomas Steen failed to backhand it in. He'll try again for Winnipeg. Pass picked off by Ron Wilson. He ragged the puck and gave it to Schneider. His long shot handled easily by Cheveldae. 50 seconds left in the Winnipeg power play. Nelson Emerson scoots to center. Dumps it in wide. Off the stick of Pucknut. McBean at the left point. Couldn't find Tkachuk in the slot. Emerson near center to Fisher. Tkachuk overskates it near the Montreal line, and Savage pokes it down the ice. Wayne McBean. Nelson Emerson drives it in from center, hits to the bench. Pucknut will play it. Hit Keith Tkachuk. Fisher trying to come in front. Here's Drake shooting. Deflected wide off Fisher. Tkachuk. Into the slot. Back to Manson at the point. His slap shot off the skate of Tkachuk. Fisher behind the net. Desjardins around to Domfus. Tried to hit Savage, and the Canadiens would have had a 2-on-1 had that connected. Daniel behind the net. Forced by Drake. Romanek stops it along the boards for Winnipeg. To Drake in the corner. Back to Daryl Shannon. Slap shot. Pad save. Romanek to the rebound, and Pucknut makes another stop. Jets are closing the gap in shots. Bert Muller giving chase against Daryl Shannon. Keane knocks it down along the boards for Muller. That's picked off by Shannon. He sends Drake away. Now to Fisher. By himself as he hits the Montreal line. Fisher trying to split the defense, and Pucknut clears it. Daryl Shannon at the point. Slapped it behind the net. Pucknut left it for Odeline. Schneider watched by Ty Domi. Less than 5 minutes remaining second period. Winnipeg 2 and Montreal nothing. Schneider to Brune off his skate. Muller has it for Montreal. Into the corner for Mike Keane. Ridden out of the play by Shannon. Brune centers it. Keane shoots, and Chevrolet got a piece of that. Muller, the Keane behind the net. Tied up by Eagles. He kicks it to Daryl Shannon, who's on the end of a long shift, Harry, and he will just shoot it down the ice.
A smart play. If you know you're tired, you have to know some of your teammates are tired. Tired legs mean poor decisions.
Mike Eagles working hard in the corner against Odeline. Chris King steps in. Here's Odeline, and King set to go. Another scrum. You're watching the Jets live on CKND.
Ready, Alex?
She's scared.
She's chicken.
I've got just the thing for chickens. The Crest egg, like on TV. This egg has calcium, like the calcium in your teeth. One side's protected with Crest. No toothpaste protected the other side.
Can I touch it?
Sure.
Squishy.
Now tap the Crest side.
Hard.
Aren't you glad you use Crest?
Crest locks in calcium to help lock out cavities.
Look, Mom, no cavities.
To 7-year-olds, nothing could be more confounding than the laws of physics. Crumple zones, safety cages, and the science of impact have little impact on them. That's life. In the inspirational design of Volkswagen's new Jetta, to protect driver and passenger and 7-year-old, every grain of that science, every principle of those laws of physics have been brought to life. And that's engineering. The new Jetta, engineered for life.
.352 left in the second period. Jets puck right beside the bench, and they have 2 pucks in the net compared to the Canadiens, none coming up in the second intermission. We'll hear from Canadiens acting captain Kurt Muller. The Canadian Tire out-of-town scoreboard, some Dirt Devil trivia, and an update from the CKND newsroom. Beyond hauled down at center by Wayne McBean, and the Canadiens will go on a power play.
Now, young McBean makes a bad decision here and then gets himself into trouble where, in order to make sure his man didn't go anywhere, he had to grab him. And these kind of decisions right here by 6, standing in instead of backing up. Your team's got a 2-goal lead. You don't have to create any more offensive chances. You want to prevent offensive chances. McBean couldn't recover from standing still.
Canadiens with their second man advantage. And they'll send some firepower out there.
Well, there's a lot of Montreal Canadian fans sitting among the Winnipeg Jet fans. This building has a little air of electricity tonight, not commonly seen here this year.
Kurt Muller to Vince Domfus. A rink-wide pass. Schneider waiting for it. Eagles lost his balance. Ryan Bellows looking around. To Schneider. Slop shot kicked out by Chevelday. Tkachuk trying to clear it. Bellows checked him, but the puck went to Manson, and he'll get it down the ice.
You know, that's a talent penalty killers are rarely given credit for. The ability to ice the puck as soon as the puck gets on your stick. Tkachuk didn't, and they got away with one.
Quintel played the man Domfus. Schneider kept it in at the point. Bellows in the corner, pokes it to Muller in front for Domfus, and Chevelday saw that coming. Got a stick on it. Nice play by the Jets goalie again. Bellows at the left point. Working along the boards, gives it to Schneider. The slap shot tipped by Muller, and Chevelday has it.
Well, that was not a difficult stop, but not to give a rebound on a hard shot from 50 feet out. That's the challenge. Chevelday will get credit for making a lot of saves, but no one any better than that little poke check. Because you can see that the Montreal player was right there. Vincent Domfus, and would have had a tap in if the puck had not been deflected. Jacques Demers probably knew this would be a tough game tonight. Playing in Chicago tomorrow. The Jets haven't won a lot of hockey games this year. Wonder whether his team looked beyond this game a little bit. If they did early, they certainly have been reminded not to in this period, especially by the Jets. Even though they scored twice in the first period, they have played better this period.
Canadiens will charter to Chicago right after the game, play the Hawks tomorrow night. On to Keane. Puck is centered. Dallas Drake Couldn't get it out. Desjardins at the left point. His pass intercepted by Quintel. He dumped it out for Winnipeg. Fogarty to Desjardins. 40 seconds remaining in the power play. Funny bounce off the glass here. Chevrolet talk about that in our first intermission feature. Fogarty at the point. Mike Keane. Gilbert Dion. Back to Fogarty. To Dion along the boards. Dion gets it back off Manson. Keane centers to Leclerc. Shot it wide and was flattened by Mike Eagles. Puck went over the glass and into the seats, and the clock down to 16 seconds on the penalty to McBean.
Mike Eagles has put in an energetic and very physical night so far here at the Winnipeg Arena. He sees that the power play is all over on the one side of the rink, so he collapses in to help his buddy Quintel, who was the victim of a short 2-on-1. And Quintel needed some help from the offside forward and got it from Mike Eagles. That's a long way in for the penalty-killing forward to go, but when you notice the offside forward sags in when the puck's on the other side of the rink on the boards, and he's looking to take away the 2-on-1, and that's what Eagles did, a smart play.
Muller, Bellows, and Domfus back out there for Montreal with Schneider and Odeline. Face off to the left of Chevrolet. 16 seconds in the power play. Jets control it off the face-off, and Keith Tkachuk fires it down. Lyle Odeline. Or Kirk Muller. Tried to slap it in and went to Ulanov. Gets a return to full strength. Still leading 2-0. 1.5 minutes to go, second period. Domfus took a bump from Tkachuk. Muller. Nice pass to Domfus. To Bellows. He fired it nowhere near the net. The one-timer. Odeline. Domfus back to Schneider at the point. His slap shot. That's deflected over top of the goal. Canadiens with pressure here. Dean Kennedy. To McBean at center. He shoots it in and heads to the bench. Schneider missed Dion with a pass. And an icing call to the Canadiens with 55.9 seconds left in period 2.
Well, a lot of shots from the blue line, but all of them went over the net. 3 hard ones, plus the one by Domfus, but Chevrolet has been letter perfect this evening. And the Winnipeg Jets, you can tell, at least I can, who don't see them play every night, but see them play probably about once every 10 days since the turn of the year. The difference in the confidence or the attitude or the feeling on the team long before you see anybody hitting guys, making passes, blocking shots, or making good defensive or offensive plays. It's the attitude that's changed in the last 2 weeks, and it always ends up being reflected on the scoreboard.
Steen and Savage for the face-off. Steen waved out. John LeBlanc will take it for Winnipeg. Had a goal disallowed earlier in this period. Quintel, his slap shot ripped over top of the net. Gilbert Dion to Ron Wilson. Dumps it into the Winnipeg zone. Savage gives chase. Chevrolet out to handle it. Left it for Quintel. Around the boards for Thomas Steen. He hops away from Dion. Passes center to LeBlanc to Darren Shannon. Checked at the last moment by Desjardins. Steen along the boards to the front of the net. And LeBlanc snuck out from behind it. Tugnut held on.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets have had 13 shots this period to only 8 in the first period, and they got most of their 8 after the halfway mark of the first period. Ron Tugnut, who looks shaky, has done a good job at keeping his team alive, giving them a chance to get back in this game by not giving up the third goal. And sometimes that's the biggest assignment you can give a goalie, especially after you get behind. Can they keep you alive long enough to give you a chance to win? Patrick Waugh, who certainly will be a candidate for the most valuable player of the Hart Trophy this year. No goalie since Jacques Plante in 1962 have ever won it, and only 5 have won it in its 70-year history.
Dave Manson at the point. Slap shot right on. Rebound. Everson is robbed by Tugnut. Nelson Emerson thought he had his second of the night. Ron Wilson with 20 seconds in the period. Gave it up to Manson at the line. Over to Quintel. Banks it off the boards for Emerson. Fogarty back to Desjardins. Kachuk forechecking for Winnipeg. Time ticking down in the second. Beyond long shot. Stick saved by Chevelday. He sweeps it to Quintel. Dumps it out. And the second period is over.
Ron Tugnutt has gotten stronger and looked more confident as the game wears on. He needs a little help from some of his offensive players if they want to take a run at the Jets. Chevelday has been terrific.
No scoring in the second period. In just a moment, we will hear from Canadiens captain Kurt Muller in conversation with Joe Pascucci. The score after 2 periods of play. The Winnipeg Jets 2 and the Montreal Canadiens nothing.
Is your toothbrush...
No scoring in that second period, though John LeBlanc came awfully close to picking up his second goal of the night. The Jets lead the Canadiens 2-0. And joining me now is Canadiens captain for the night, Kurt Muller. And Kurt, I would say this is a different Jets team than the one you faced back in January.
Well, yeah, we only see them a couple times a year, but like we were saying, they've made a few changes, and no doubt they're playing well tonight. We're impressed with them. They're really skating. They're forcing us all over, and their D are standing up much better than I've seen them before. So they've played well. Give them credit, and the goalies played pretty good in nets too.
Joffy, you congratulations on your new contract. Reportedly 4 years, $1.89 million. Has the players on the team yet bugged you about when you're going to take them out to dinner and where?
Well, they know our schedule. There's no time right now, but I'm sure we get a little break. No doubt they're a big key for my success last year, and big reason. So it's that's the nice thing with the team is we all have the same goal, and that's just to win. And obviously everyone benefits from it. And obviously, if you guys have this year, that contracts were up.
All right. Obviously, a statement made by Serge Savard at trading deadline time. He doesn't make a move.
No, he's a big asset of Serge is his patience, and more so than just right now. I think in the first half of the year he showed that, where teams played just 500, and that's not easy anywhere, especially Montreal. But he sat back, he had faith in the guys, and knew that we'd come out of it somehow. And fortunately, he stayed put with the guys, and since Christmas, we've been the hottest team. So it's it's a lot of credit for him on that part.
All right, I know that you're from Kingston. Doug Gilmour's from Kingston. Don Cherry's from Kingston. But Don Cherry doesn't kiss you before games. You a little jealous there about that?
No, he's obviously a big fan of Gilly and I, and we have a lot of fun this summer seeing each other. But he's there in Toronto, and he's a big fan of Gilly's. But that's all right. I'll let him kiss Gilly.
All right, Kurt Muller of the Montreal Canadiens. Good luck in the playoffs ahead. Defending Stanley Cup champions. The Jets leading the Canadiens by a score of 2-0. Coming up next, we'll have a CKND News update, plus some Dirt Devil trivia.
Devil presents Red Hot Trivia, brought to you by the Red Hot family of Dirt Devil vacuums by Royal. Who holds the NHL rookie record for most goals by a defenseman? We'll have the answer right after this. NHL rookie record for the most goals by a defenseman. Need a hint? He's currently playing in his 7th NHL season. In 1991-92, he became only the 5th defenseman in NHL history to collect 100 or more points in a season, winning the James Norris Trophy as the league's top defenseman. He holds the New York Ranger record for the most assists in a season with 80.
Basically, I'm an offensive defenseman, and that's my job. I try and do the best I can in the defensive zone, but I like to create chances in the offensive zone.
Brian Leach was his team's first-round choice in the 1986 draft. In 1988-89, he led all rookies with 71 points and won the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year. In that same year, he scored 23 goals, setting a new NHL record for most goals by a rookie defenseman. Another Red Hot Trivia, brought to you by the Red Hot family of Dirt Devil vacuums by Royal.
Jets leading the Canadiens 2-0. You're up to date on the NHL tonight, courtesy of Canadian Tire. Well, an exciting game so far for the Winnipeg Jets against the Montreal Canadiens. And to get their thoughts on the game, let's go upstairs to Bruce and Harry.
Thanks, Joe Harry. There's no question the Jets are playing better hockey, but nothing gives the team more confidence than good goaltending, and Tim Cheveldae solid again tonight. He's made 26 saves in the first 2 periods.
Well, we're going to show you 4 reasons why the score is 2-0 for the Jets. These are all good chances by Montreal. Benoit Brunet shorthanded. Nice catch by Cheveldae. Oleg Petrov gets in alone and tries to go to the backhand. Watch Cheveldae out with the stick in the glove to prevent that goal. Mike Keane gets a shot from about 10 feet out. Cheveldae makes the save right here and then tops it off with a great stop on Vincent Domfus, the hottest and most prolific scorer for the Montreal Canadiens. And if you want to know why the Winnipeg Jets are winning, we showed you 4 reasons right there. Tim Cheveldae.
Tim Cheveldae ready for the 3rd period. He's given up just 5 goals in his last 11 periods of work. Coming up next, we'll have 3rd period action between the Canadiens and Jets, live on CKND. Welcome back for 3rd period action between the Canadiens and Jets. The Jets holding on to a 2-0 lead. No scoring to report in the 2nd period. The Jets out shooting Montreal 14-11. It's 26-22 Montreal after 40 minutes.
Well, Tim Cheveldae making Mr. Paddock look like he knew what he was doing when he made that trade. I know Tim Cheveldae must be breathing a huge sigh of relief to get out of Detroit. The fans made life miserable for him there, and he was the scapegoat unfairly for their quick exit playoffs last year.
Eight seconds has been played in the 3rd period. Early icing call to Cheveldae's Jets.
Well, 3 years in a row, this guy won 30 or more games for Detroit, and he's showing us that that was not a fluke.
Saw a lot of action in Detroit, winning those 30 games the last 3 seasons. Going to see plenty in Winnipeg as well. Daryl Shannon to Dallas Drake. Couldn't backhand it out. Domfus centers it right onto the stick of Manson. And he banks it off the boards for the Jets. Odeline hammers it right back in for Montreal. Leclerc from the corner. Grabbed by Manson. Drake to the point. Schneider knocked it down. Into the corner for Bellows. Fought off a check, got a shot away. Steered aside by Cheveldae. Odeline behind the net to Leclerc. Backhanded it in front. Daryl Shannon, lead pass for Emerson. Onside, he's got a breakaway. Emerson, good save by Tugnutt.
The Montreal defense standing in at the offensive blue line looking for the tire. Got trapped, both of them.
Bellows around, they score!
And how many times have we seen that? A great chance at one end. The rush comes back the other way. And I think Odeline scored, but I don't think he scored with a stick. I think it hit him. Here's a lovely breakaway pass right there to Emerson. Tugnutt makes a nice stop with his left leg and glove, and on the ensuing rush right away, the Winnipeg Jets run into a little bit of tough luck. As you're going to see Odeline, 24 rush, and it hits his skate and goes in. Well, they're giving the goal to Bellows. I thought it was Odeline.
But the Canadiens are within 1 early in the 3rd period. Thomas Dean clears it. Desjardins one-hands it for Brunet. Puck bouncing near center. Mike Keane goes down after the check from Shannon. Ulanoff to the Canadiens line. Desjardins slaps it in for Montreal off the glass. Quintel had Brunet lined up, missed him. Brunet from the corner. Unable to center it, and Darren Shannon pokes it past Desjardins and out. Fogarty for Montreal. To Kirk Muller. Puck deep in the Jet zone. Quintel coming out. Quick pass to Shannon. Scoops it in for Ty Domi. He bumps with Daigneault. Brunet to Kirk Muller. Long shot steered aside by Chevelday. Chris King to Mike Eagle. He took a hit from Dion, and play called on the offside. From Winnipeg Arena, this is your Molson Dry telecast.
Play Score and Win at Safeway. When the Jets score on CKND, you could win Macassa's Elegant Maxima Dinnerware from the Bel-Air pattern, a GE Spacemaker 2 microwave oven, the best of Tefal featuring the new Cool Wall Deep Fryer, or the Piggyback from Samsonite. Our strengths are legendary. At the end of each game, we will award a Canadian Holidays vacation for two to Walt Disney World Resort. Safeway's participating products, Purex bathroom tissue and Sunlight laundry detergent. Score and Win at Safeway, another reason we're today's better way.
As an AST engineer, Frank spends all his time perfecting Windows performance. And while his obsession has helped make us a Fortune 500 company, it hasn't done much for his 3-iron.
AST, from notebooks to multi-processing servers. A better PC is the product of our obsession.
Well, they credit the goal to Bellows. It looked like it went off Daryl Shannon, but it did hit him. But did it not hit the shaft of Odeline's stick? It's in the net. Scores 2-1. Bellows has got the goal as of right now. And Montreal got what they wanted, an early goal.
Bellows has scored at least 40 goals 3 times in his career, 30 on 4 occasions, and a career-high 55. Dallas Drake into the corner for Emerson. He was stopped on the breakaway. The Canadiens came right back and got on the scoreboard at 1:01. Tkachuk was level. Gets a stick up with Leclerc. Quintel. Pass off Emerson. Dallas Drake out to center. Domfus. Couldn't beat Ulanoff. Drake behind the net. Hit by Domfus. Ulanoff around for Tkachuk. Here's Leclerc for Montreal. Slap shot. Gloved by Chevelday with Bellows standing on the doorstep.
Well, Tkachuk very upset at John Leclerc, who ran him from behind way back in the Montreal zone. No penalty called. And there's the hit from behind right there. Almost every night in the National League, that's a penalty, but not tonight. And then we have Tkachuk, who came right back, and we have Ulanoff going right now as everyone seems to be paired off. Hard to see who he's tangling with there.
Dino, I think. Probably the two guys you'd least suspect to go.
Well, J.J. Daniels certainly hasn't been in too many of these. And he got cut as he fell to the ice. His helmet came off, so Daniel quite upset with the linesman. We were showing you the replay, and then this occurred. Tkachuk racing after Leclerc. And then Ulanoff, for whatever the reason, upset with Daniel, and they get going. Ulanoff was cut, I think, before the skirmish, and I'm not too sure that Daniel wasn't during the skirmish. So we'll see what the penalties are. Daniel and Leclerc are gone for sure, and I'm sure Tkachuk and Ulanoff will serve some time. Daniel quite upset at something. Well, if the playoffs started tonight, here are the matchups in the Western Conference. Detroit at San Jose, Calgary, Vancouver, Toronto, St. Louis, and Dallas, Chicago. And in the East, Montreal would play Boston. They thought they could avoid Boston after 300 straight years of playing them. But they may get them again.
But that could all change. A Canadiens victory tonight, and they would move up.
Well, Ulanoff was cut. Maybe that's why he was mad if he thought Daniel was the culprit. I don't know what the penalties are. It looks to me like the Jets get an extra 2 minutes. And that's always the danger when more than 2 people get involved. And the Jets will now have to take on the Montreal Canadiens, who are inspired, and they have to do it with one fewer player.
John Leclerc, 2 minutes for roughing. Montreal's number 48, J.J. Daniel, 5 minutes for fighting. The Winnipeg's number 7, Keith Tkachuk, 2 minutes for roughing. And Winnipeg's number 5, Igor Orlonov, 2 minutes for roughing and 5 minutes for fighting. Time to penalties, 3 minutes, 7 seconds.
Jets complaining they want the face-off outside, and it will occur inside the Jets zone.
Their point, Bruce, is that the Montreal defenseman came in over the top of the circle to join the melee, but if we remember, the melee occurred right about at the blue line, or just inside the blue line, so they couldn't sell the lines nor the referee on that thought to get a face-off in the neutral zone.
Extra roughing minor to Ulanov. Canadians on their third power play with a chance to tie it. Muller, Bellows, Domfus, Odelein, Schneider, the number 1 unit out there. Dave Manson up the boards for Eagles. Ian Muller battle for it. Odelein comes off the boards with it. Shoot! Chevrolet got his arm on that. Domfus to Muller in the corner. He looks around. Gives it to Bellows. Back to Odelein. To Muller. Behind the net to Domfus. Bellows setting up in front. Domfus trying to jam it in. Put it through the crease. Odelein at the point. Nice move on Eagles. Steve Schneider quickly to Domfus. Canadians moving around. Odelein shot blocked in front by Quintel, and he sends it down the ice.
Well, killing penalties, one of the worst stats Winnipeg's got going, and they need a good job now to stay ahead in this game.
Although it has been better lately. Muller takes a whack from Manson. Muller at the edge of the circle, side the net. Domfus across the crease. Chevrolet was going the other way, and the puck nearly went in the short side. Domfus behind the net. 50 seconds in the penalty. To Ulanov. Matt Schneider. To Bellows. Back to Schneider at the point. Across to Odelein. His shot knocked down in front by Manson, and he backhands it out. Nelson Emerson looking for the breakaway. He still is. Has 5 shorthanded goals. Matt Schneider to Odelein. Pass off escape. Darren Shannon clears it for Winnipeg. Ryan Savage just up from Fredericton. Tried to dump it in and hit Kennedy. Here's Savage. His pass blocked by Mike Eagles. 10 seconds in the penalty. Dion lost control of it. Gets it back for Montreal. To Keane in the corner. Back to Dion. To Keane. Savage in front. There's the pass for him off the stick of Daryl Shannon. Fogarty shoots. Kennedy couldn't get his stick free. The Canadians keep it in. All at one. That was Dion, robbed by Chevrolet. Terrific save by Chevrolet. And Eagles dumps it in.
The Winnipeg Jets again guilty of not icing the puck on a shorthanded situation, and Chevrolet made a brilliant save on Dion.
Back come the Canadians. Wilson to the front of the net. Manson has it for Winnipeg. To Chris King. Long shot off the chest of Tugnutt. Quintel can't keep it in at the point. Now puts it in deep. We're nearing the 6-minute mark of the third period. Jets 2, Canadians 1. Manson to Ty Domi. Lost it to Wilson at the Canadians line. He drops it back to Fogarty, now to Desjardins. On the left side for Fogarty. Wilson at the weight. Brunet has it for Montreal. The shot, pass save, rebound. His jam just wide by Fogarty. Russ Romanek for Winnipeg. Scoops it to center, batted out of the air by Wilson. Romanek, pass too far ahead for Ty Domi. And here we go again, Harry, with non-stop action. Fogarty to center for Montreal, to Brunet. Good move on Manson at the line. Tried to one-hand it back to Petrov, and Romanek clears it. Quintel for Winnipeg. Into the Montreal zone, shoots! And Tugnutt got his blocker on that. Petrov banks it off the boards and out. Wayne McBean for Winnipeg. Rolling puck that Tugnutt had to be careful with. Brisebois watched by Shannon. Fogarty off the glass to center. McBean for Winnipeg. To Steve. And he slops it in. That's gloved by Tugnutt. Kurt Muller hit along the boards by Steen. Domfus for Montreal, and nifty pass to Brisebois. Canadiens defense jumping into the play, and McBean breaks that play up.
Keep going, Bruce. You're doing a good job here tonight. I've done 4 games in 5 nights. I'll let you know.
Thanks, Harry. This is a fun one to call.
Yes,
Bellows
it is.
for Montreal. To Domfus at the point. Into Muller. Couldn't reach it. Bellows comes in front. And the puck slid away from him. Bellows still after it. And Shannon slides it out for Winnipeg. 12:15 remaining, third period. Shots 31-26 Montreal. Jets with a 1-goal lead. Schneider on the attack. Gives it to Dion. Slap shot just wide. Puck loose at the side of the net. Good check by Daryl Shannon on Dion. And it's Domi to center. Backhands it into the Montreal zone. Didn't wait long enough. Domi was pulled down. And the Jets are called for icing. Brennigat at the arena. It's 2-1 Jets.
Is this your average wave? Is this your average beer? Molson Special Dry with the original dry brew taste. Now with a special new look. The next step in the evolution of beer. Molson Special Dry. It just could be the best beer ever brewed. Anytime, anywhere. Catch one.
It's a crisis. We have a contract to replace thousands of defective doors. The Dominion Door Company's reputation is at stake.
We promise to deliver our doors to every good merchant from here to the Pacific.
What are we going to do?
Fastest flight.
I beg your pardon?
Well, fastest flight is economical and reliable. They have their own personnel providing door-to-door service.
Expedited service. Good show.
And fastest flight delivers on time or free. It's guaranteed.
There's an awful scene. 2 Canadians behind all the Jets on Shovelday. Watch the stop he makes here on Dion to keep this thing at 2-1. Where the Jet players went, I don't know, but they got back after Shovelday bailed them out again.
Dion came that close to scoring his 18th of the season. Tim Shovelday has been brilliant again tonight for Winnipeg. The only goal that beat him was a bad bounce.
Went off 2 guys, and I don't think either one of them know that it hit him. Bellows shot it from 50 feet out. It hit Shannon, and I think it hit Odeline, but the goal's Bellows.
Muller shoveled it ahead for Brune, and Manson dumps it out for Winnipeg. Odeline slots it right back in. Daryl Shannon to Borsato at center as Mike Eagles with him 2-on-2. Eagles slap shot is handled by Tugnutt. Eagles stops at the side of the net, centers it, and Chris King couldn't get to the puck. Brune to Muller. Odeline at the point. His pass cut off by Daryl Shannon. Ty Domi couldn't gain control of it as Shannon was streaking through the middle. Brune. Cross ice pass for Keith. Picked off. Here's Muller moving and shot. Great save by Shovelday as he got his glove on the shot by Kurt Muller.
Well, I mentioned earlier, Montreal pounce on opponents' mistakes, and here's one right here. A mix-up between Eagles and King, and when you make a catch, when your hand's behind your body, like that one is by Shovelday, he took one right out of the net on Kurt Muller. Montreal's best period all year has been the third period. When you subtract the goals against from the goals for in third periods this year, Montreal is plus 22. Let's have a look at what's happening out of town. Lots of interest in all games. Phil Housley's back and got an assist in this game. St. Louis won 3-2. 3 goals in about 5 minutes or less by Ottawa. 1-1 overtime final in Hamilton, Florida, and Toronto. Graves has both 50th and 51st. They're just started in LA, Vancouver.
Desjardins shoots, and another glove save by Shovelday, and the Canadiens
all over
the shaking their heads about the play of Tim Shovelday.
All over the Jets here, and if it keeps up, it's going to be tough for Shovelday to win this game on his own. They lose the draw right away. The puck comes back to the point. Cheveldae on a screen shot makes another big stop. If I was Jacques Demers, the one thing I would ask the referee do, measure Cheveldae's glove. It's about 4 feet by 6 the way he's playing tonight.
Boy, the Red Wings might wish they had him back. Cheveldae, that goal he gave up to Brian Bellows. First goal on him in 84 minutes, 31 seconds. Former Jet Bob Essence have faced only 15 shots tonight in the win by Ottawa. Petrov centers it for Savage, and Kennedy just checked him at the last second. Wayne McBean. Boy, Canadians really pressing. Fogarty leaped, but couldn't hold it in at the point.
Well, one thing for sure is the Winnipeg Jets this year, with only 21 wins, have not had a lot of practice at protecting leads, and the Montreal Canadiens know it, and they're coming at them.
Canadians have won only 3 games all season when trailing after 2, but they're pouring it on here in the third. Cheveldae around the boards. Petrov was waiting for Montreal. Dion behind the net, back for Petrov. Picked off by Drake. He comes out with Emerson. He's checked at center by Petrov. Canadians relentless in their checking. Here's Savage, slap shot, and Cheveldae made another stop. Kachuk gets around Desjardins. Feeds Emerson. He's with Drake 2-on-1. Emerson fakes, shoots. He got it past Tugnut, but missed the net. Great chance there for Winnipeg. Here's Petrov. Manson throws him to the ice, and the fans love that. Kennedy's pass off a skate. Petrov forced out by Manson. Now he shoots it in, but Dion was offside. We're past the halfway mark of the third period. It's 2-1 Winnipeg. Thomas Steen backhands it to center. Domfus. Leclerc to Brisebois. His rink-wide pass off the stick of Darren Shannon, who's had another strong game for Winnipeg tonight. Daniel forced back. Long lead pass for Domfus. That failed to connect, and it's icing. Canadian, 9:22 left in the
Protector, a razor so sharp it has to be kept behind bars. Protective guard wires ensure that while the shave is close, there is no safer wet shave. The safest wet shave ever from Wilkinson Sword.
How much do you think it costs for a 5-minute call to anywhere in Great Britain with MTS? No, less. Not even close. That's ludicrous. So how much is it? Just $2.92 any evening. And that's without one of our savings plans. MTS long distance. Less than you'd guess.
My mother used to get up with the chickens to make breakfast. But all you need is 60 seconds in the microwave with instant Quaker oatmeal. 60 seconds to give your kids that warm, wholesome feeling inside. It's the right thing to do.
Ryan Savage, home from the Olympics, 17 points in 9 games for Fredericton, called up to the Canadiens, nearly scores his first NHL goal. Another good stop by Cheveldae. And at the other end, watch this nifty play by Emerson. Fakes the shot, gets Tugnut to open up, slides it between his legs, but it goes wide of the net. Kind of a play takes confidence and skill, and he was a little unlucky it didn't go in.
Nelson Emerson does have a goal tonight, but he could have 2 or 3 others. Had a clear-cut breakaway, was stopped by Tugnut, made a good play there, and missed the goal. Brisebois behind the net for Montreal with 9:12 to go in what's been an outstanding hockey game between the defending Stanley Cup champs and the upstart Jets. Shannon to Thomas Steen. Long shot just wide. Brisebois to Bellows. He just let it go. And Darren Shannon goes back after it for Winnipeg. Takes his time, dumps it to center. Brisebois for Montreal. Checked by LeBlanc. He slides it in deep. Out comes Ty Domi. Daigneault to Brisebois, rink wide to Leclerc. In on the left side, slap shot handled easily by Cheveldae. Quintel around for Chris King. Brisebois was trying to pinch, and King just did force it out. Brisebois without a glove. Leclerc slap shot, and he ripped it off the glass wide. And King should be at spring training. He batted it out.
Well, the Winnipeg Jet wingers, you got to put up with the pinching Montreal defensemen. You have to get the puck or the man, one or the other, if they pinch on you.
Muller pokes it past Daryl Shannon. Odeline into the Jet zone. The puck caught up in the equipment of Manson, and the Canadiens were offside.
While Odeline, we mentioned, leads the team in penalties, but 22 points in his last 21 games. What a great year for Odeline, who is known as the tough guy, a defensive defenseman with no offensive skill. Dave Manson has been a tower of power on the Jet defense tonight physically. He will give the puck away, occasionally on passes up the middle. But in this kind of a game where the tempers are up and the emotion is high, that's when he's at his best.
No, Harry, it's amazing how 2 or 3 changes can turn a team around, but right now the biggest change has been Tim Shoveldick.
Well, he's not the first goalie that's grabbed the team by the throat and made them look a lot better than they were before he got here. Patrick Roy's done it for a long time in Montreal.
Lyle Odeline. His pass off the stick of Drake. Puck hopped over the stick of Daryl Shannon. Canadiens nearly had a chance there. Chris King checked by Keane. Brune from the corner centers it. No Canadian there. Puck went to Ty Domi. And he'll just shoot at the center. Odeline fanned on his passes. King trying to split the defense, but he lost control of it. Domi into the corner for King. He and Schneider bump. Kurt Muller. Puck loose at the side of the net. Drake at center between King and Domi. This line causing some trouble for Montreal. There's Muller. Keane goes for the net. Muller centers it off the stick of Drake just wide. Brune back to Matt Schneider. The slap shot. Chevrolet the save. Loose in front. Keane was knocked down. Dallas Drake picks it up and the net has been knocked loose.
A good play by young McBean. If he hadn't knocked Keane down, the score might be tied. You take a chance on a penalty when you do that. But when the puck comes in from the point or the other side, here from the point on Schneider, there's no use trying to play the puck. You have to play the man, and that's what McBean does right there, and probably saved the goal. And there the net comes off, and McBean, who's not known as the strong defensive defenseman, comes up with a strong defensive play there to help his team maintain the lead with 6:58 to go. Winnipeg 2, Montreal 1.
This game has had all the emotion of a playoff game. 15,401 in attendance, a sellout at the Winnipeg Arena. Back 8 over capacity. And they've witnessed a beauty. Dallas Drake for Winnipeg. Eagles heads for the net. Drake for the late man. McBean went off the stick of Petrov. Back comes Montreal 2-on-1. Dion had to wait for Savagers. Petrov into the slot. And his shot went off Kennedy. Dion for Montreal. Behind the net for Petrov. Canadiens working hard. Centered. Puck loose in the crease and it's cleared by Kennedy. Canadiens doing everything but getting the equalizer against the Jets. Desjardins. He sends it in again for Montreal. Domfus on the ice, tied up by Steen. Bellows turns and shoots, tipped in front, off the side of the post by Leclerc. Canadiens coming close again. Leclerc forces it to the line. Quintel couldn't clear it. And now play called on the offside. Watching the Jets live up CKND.
The difference is, you got it, the people at Park Pontiac.
Park Pontiac was the #1 retail Pontiac Buick GMC truck dealer again in Manitoba last year, and they're ready to do it again in '94. But Park Pontiac doesn't just sell new cars. They've got a great selection of trades and late-model used cars, too, including a wide variety of low-mileage GM program cars. You know where to go, don't you?
You got it, Park Pontiac.
You got it, Park Pontiac.
From Walt Disney Pictures, the Mighty Ducks present the 3 rules of hockey. Never underestimate your opponent.
Want to ease up a little bit? Thought I'd ask.
Never take your eye off the puck.
Duck! That hurt.
And never stop believing in the Mighty Ducks.
Quack Attack is back, Jack!
Emilio Estevez, D2, the Mighty Ducks are back. Starts Friday, March 25th at a theater near you.
Now, sometimes it's difficult to pick 3 stars of a game. It's an easy chore to get number 1 tonight. Tim Cheveldae should get all 3 if he can hang on for 550 and lead his team to a victory.
Face off to the right of Cheveldae outside the Jets line. LeClaire wins the draw from Steen. Long shot. Cheveldae stopped it, wasn't sure where it was. And I was just thinking, wouldn't that have been something after all the big stops he's made tonight? He let one in from center. Quintel for Winnipeg. Scooped it to the line. Daniel backing up. Shannon into forecheck for Winnipeg. Thomas Steen. Dom Foose to Brisebois. Up comes the Canadian defense again. LeClaire in front. Brisebois turning along the boards. Tried to center it. Ulanoff for Winnipeg. He goes down. Puck bouncing around. It's loose in front. And out comes John LeBlanc for the Jets. Slowly to center. And rolls it in. We're down to 5 minutes remaining in the third. Shots are 39-27 Montreal. It's 2-1 Winnipeg. They scored both their goals in the first period. Odeline to Brunet. Now to Mike Keane. He lost control of it. Ty Domi scoops it high, and it just missed the clock. Odeline punches at the puck, and King shoots it in.
2 things the Jets forwards have to be careful of. Don't center the puck in the Montreal zone on a hope pass. Be careful of cross-ice passes anywhere.
Kirk Muller. Brunet centers it for Keane. Eagles pushes it to the line for Ty Domi. King loose on the left side. Domi shoots it in for him. King a good move at the side of the net. Dallas Drake at the point. Emerson slop shot. I think Tugnut saw it, but it went over top of the goal. Matthew Schneider. Stick handles away from Tkachuk to Muller. To the side of the net. Cheveldae tipped it. Brunet on top of it. Checked by Emerson. Keane. Here's Muller trying to jam it in. Cheveldae down. Puck still loose. And it's cleared by Daryl Shannon.
Well, the Winnipeg Jet bench irate that the offside wasn't called as Montreal carried the puck into the zone, and I think John Paddock and his players had a point.
Paddock standing on the bench screaming at the linesman. Whaler.
Working on the next offside now, Bruce.
Jets shoot it back in. Clock down to 3:15. Petrov. Gilbert Dion flips it in for Brian Savic. Ulanoff to it first. To Darren Shannon. Dumps at the length of the ice. And they'll bring it back into the Jet zone for a key face-off with 3:01 on the clock.
Now, it was a nice attempt by Shannon. He wanted to get the puck out of the zone and attempted to just lob it down, and it had a little too much mustard on it, went over the icing line. I still think it's not a bad play. They get a chance to change the line. They get a chance to get out there who they want. And Shannon's one of the better wingers in the league at handling pucks that come around the boards. There's the great chance by Muller. Then he gets another one. And Cheveldae, it hits him from the back, the rear end, and as it sits in the crease for about a minute, it appeared, before it's cleared.
3:01 to go. Cheveldae set for the draw to his left. Ulanoff nearly overskated it off the draw. To Darren Shannon. Fogarty was trying to pinch. Shannon goes rink wide to Thomas Steen. Dumps it in for Winnipeg with less than 3 minutes left. Darren Shannon to the puck in the corner. Took a hit from Desjardins. Thomas Steen. And a fight offside. Center LeBlanc. Good save. Relay scores.
LeBlanc. Darren Shannon did all the work. He did the work in his own zone to get it out. He did the work in the offensive zone along the boards to keep it in and burn some time off the clock. And then he's in on the goal that LeBlanc tapped in. Shannon brings it out, throws the puck, goes to the net, causes the crowd, and that allows LeBlanc to come in and shovel in a 5-footer with 2:29 to go. Darren Shannon and Thomas Steen work along the boards. Shannon in his own end, then in the opposition's end, then he goes to the net, and LeBlanc benefits from a lot of hard work by Darren Shannon.
John LeBlanc's second goal of the hockey game, his 5th of the year. Harry talked about the work of Steen and Darren Shannon. And it's 3-1 Jets after the Canadiens did everything but put the puck in the net.
And number 25, Thomas Steen.
Brisebois to Donfus. Canadiens won't quit. They've been working this entire third period. Brisebois to Leclerc. Drop pass to Donfus into the slot. Here's Bellows' shot off the blocker of Cheveldae. Darren Shannon and Steen with the assists at 17:31. Keith Tkachuk for Winnipeg with less than 2 minutes to go. He's dumped by Brisebois. Daniel. Lugs it to center. Backhands it to the line. Daryl Shannon. Stop Donfus. Ty Domi. Overskated the puck. Bellows moves it to Daniel in his own zone. Out of Lyle Odeline. 1.5 minutes to go. Will Jacques Demers pull Ron Tugnutt? He's looking his direction, but Tugnutt's not listening.
Giving him the signal.
Now he says stay in as the puck's in Montreal zone. Canadiens trying to get his attention. Demers waves them out. Extra attacker on for Montreal. They trail by 2. Muller in the corner for Keane. 1:08 to go in the third period. Domi is hit by Dion. Puck loose at the side of the net. Ulanoff has a stick held. Muller centers it. Here's Schneider's shot. Bounces off a leg. Keane after it. Domi shoots the puck wide of the net. Odeline back to touch it. It'll be icing Jets with 48.8 seconds to go in the third period. We have another winner in the Safeway Score and Win contest. Linus Seington of St. Anne entered Score and Win at Safeway and attached a label from Kleenex Facial Tissue. Congratulations, Lina. You've won a General Electric Spacemaker 2 microwave oven.
Well, LeBlanc gets the goal that ought to give Winnipeg a lead. Ty Domi ices the puck, but I've always said this. If the other team has their goalie out and you're up by 2, don't be afraid to ice it. Up by 1, maybe it's not a great move, but not with when you're up 2, you get a chance to change the lines. You get a chance to get to whoever you want out there. If anybody's tired, they're off. 2 goals in 48 seconds with the goalie out. It doesn't happen too often.
Harry, John Paddock looks like a genius. Sends Paul Eisenbart to Chicago to get John LeBlanc back in the lineup tonight. He's got a couple of goals. Makes the trade with Detroit to get Tim Cheveldae, who's had his 3rd straight outstanding game for the Jets. And Dave Manson hasn't hurt either.
Well, Cheveldae could give up Turk Broda. It'd be a good move getting Cheveldae the way he's played tonight. Well, he's been terrific. Montreal Canadiens have had more quality chances to score than the Jets have, and Cheveldae has boarded up the net.
Canadiens net empty, an extra attacker on. They have Muller, Dion, Bellows, Donfus, Fogarty, and Schneider.
They're repairing a hole in the ice. They need the water bottle to get the snow to make a little slush. So the Winnipeg Jets have had all kinds of time to do what they want to do. And here's David Manson. He's only been here for what, 2 games, Bruce?
This is his 3rd.
Giving orders in the Jet end about who goes where and why, with the goalie out at the other end. And not many guys are going to question Manson when he gives the orders. If you're smart, you follow them.
Problem is hearing him.
Yeah, he's got that voice problem. Got hit in the throat. Sounds like Aldo Ray. Do you remember Aldo Ray, the actor?
No, I'm too young for that too, Harry.
Sings like Johnny Ray. Sounds like Aldo Ray. And shoots the puck like a gamma ray.
Face off to the right of Cheveldae. Eagles will take the face off for Winnipeg against Kirk Muller.
Now this upsets the referee. Manson's had 1.5 minutes to make the stick change, but he waits till the ice is repaired, the timeout's over, to get even a little longer.
Talk about Manson losing his voice. I'm losing mine tonight. Darren Shannon to the puck off the draw.
Boy, Shannon, those little plays like that, can't put a value on them. You really can't. Shannon making sure the puck got out of the zone.
Well, he's played lately. You know why Pittsburgh made him a first-rounder. Schneider across to Fogarty. His shot off a stick, and a souvenir for the sellout crowd with 28.6 seconds left.
There's Manson saying, we've carried you this far, Tim. Surely you can do the rest for 28 seconds. David Manson's leadership qualities have shown up already. You know, it's not easy to come to a new team and not be a passive passenger for a while. But you cannot put a value on leadership. And his value to this team will far exceed any statistics he comes up with.
John Paddock and Andy Murray handing out directions from the bench. Jets will face San Jose on Friday. That's their next action, and the Rangers come in for a noon start on Sunday.
If Domfus thinks he's going to the net through Manson, he better get up a little earlier to try it.
Schneider at the point, take the shot, they move it across, and the shot by Bellows was high again. Odeline hit Darren Shannon, he makes another good play for the Jets. Clock down to 15 seconds as Odeline dumps it in. Stefan Quintel for Winnipeg. Canadiens' 11-game undefeated string about to come to an end. Muller to Bellows, can't center it. That was cut off. 2 seconds on the clock. Quintel for the empty net. Off the shot in the goal, but this one is over.
Well, a very hard-earned victory. Lots of contributors. We've talked about Cheveldae and Shannon and Manson, but there's hardly a Winnipeg player who didn't go out there and do something right. And the Montreal Canadiens, 3 losses in 22 games coming up to tonight, 11 straight without a loss. The best team in the National League in the last month, and the Winnipeg Jets beat them and thrilled about 2/3 of this audience. The 1/3 the Montreal fans go home with their tails between their legs.
Huge confidence boost for the Winnipeg Jets as they end the Montreal streak, win their 3rd in a row. John LeBlanc had a couple of goals. Darren Shannon with 3 assists, and Tim Cheveldae, a big story again, as he makes 39 saves. The final score, the Jets 3 and the Canadiens 1. In a moment, the Molten 3 Stars action.
I used to think that panty liner protection was a contradiction in terms. I mean, they're so small. Even the long ones are too narrow for my liking. Then I tried Always Plus panty liners. They cover more of my panty than regular liners. They have dry weave and nice wide wings for great panty protection at the sides. I love it. A liner sized and shaped to really protect.
New Always Plus panty liners with wings. The cleaner, drier liners that really keep you covered.
As your engine revs higher, the oil inside creates a hydrodynamic wedge, a protective layer that builds up and keeps engine parts separated. But as your oil's viscosity breaks down, so can the wedge. That's why Castrol GTX provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. Because if your viscosity breaks down, what's next? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's harder working engines. Look for Castrol's free NHL hat offer at these and other leading outlets.
Time now for the Molson 3 Stars. Star number 3 with 2 goals tonight. John LeBlanc is 4th and 5th of the season. Star number 2 with 3 assists, Darren Shannon. And the first star of tonight's game with 39 saves, goaltender Tim Cheveldae. And joining me now is the 2nd star, Darren Shannon. 3 wins in a row for this hockey team and quite a victory tonight over the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, it's definitely a big win. I mean, we'd won a couple games, and you know, we certainly started to feel a little better about ourselves. But you know, this is defending Stanley Cup champs. They hadn't lost in 11 games. This is a big test for us, and you know, fortunately we passed, and just hopefully we continue this for the rest of the year.
No season that you struggled in the first half of the season, but what has been the big change since the All-Star break?
I don't know, just a little bit of confidence, and start playing with, you know, you get your line, and everything gets set, and for the last little while things have been going well, and it's been a little bit of fun.
What about the playoff race? A lot of people say the Jets, you know, are basically out of it, but if things work your way, you sweep this home-and-home series coming up with San Jose, win that game against the Rangers, you could be only 7 points back come Tuesday night.
Well, our only goal is to take 1 game at a time, and I mean, realistically, we have 10 games left. We pretty much have to win all 10 of those games, and I mean, whatever happens with the other teams, we can't really worry about. We just have to go out and try to, basically try to win every game we got left, and then just, see how the cards fall.
Can you make a comment about your brother? I thought he played a very strong game tonight.
I thought he played a real good game, too. I thought the last 4 or 5 games, he's, got a little bit more confidence in himself, and, I'm really happy. I mean, it's just as pleasing for me, actually, to see him play well as it is for me to play well.
Well, Darren Shannon, congratulations on the victory tonight. 3 more points for you, courtesy of the assist, and the Jets' 3rd victory in a row as they beat the Montreal Canadiens 3-1. The 3 stars once again. John LeBlanc, the 3rd star, Darren Shannon, star number 2, and the 1st star tonight, Tim Cheveldae. And there you see the overall Molson Cup standings with Alexei Zhamnov leading with 70 points, Keith Tkachuk also with 70 points, and Thomas Steen has 30. Once again, the final score, the Winnipeg Jets defeat the Montreal Canadiens 3-1. Lots more to come on our Molson Jets hockey telecast. We'll come back, we'll hear from Bruce and Harry right after this.
It's here, the new 94 Chrysler Magic Wagon. Dual airbags, reclining integrated child seats. Built in Canada, our safest minivan ever. Dodge Caravan, Plymouth Voyager, with air, automatic, V6 engine, 7-passenger seating, roof rack, and more for just $17,784. Only at your local Chrysler dealer. A dealer you can believe in.
Yuma. It's here. Premier Wild Oat and...
Families in River Park South know how to have a good time. They've organized one of the finest community centers in the city. In just 2 sports, soccer and baseball, over 1,000 kids come out to play. In over 100 acres of parks and playgrounds dedicated to having fun.
In River Park South, where you belong.
A friend and I were in a lingerie store when she said she found these new pads that really help protect panties. Pads with ruffles. New Always Curves. And I said, ruffles? In fact, they're soft, stretchy gathers that form panty-protecting barriers all along the sides. And with dry weave, they're cleaner and drier too. Pads with dry weave and panty-protecting ruffles. Great idea. And they work so well, I'm telling friends about ruffles.
New Always Curves. Cleaner, drier maxis with soft, protective ruffles.
For the 2nd time this season, the Winnipeg Jets win 3 games in a row. Tim Cheveldae, his 3rd victory as the Winnipeg Jet. Bob Essens is still looking for his 1st victory as a Detroit Red Wings. Well, an exciting victory for the Jets. Let's go upstairs to hear more of their thoughts with Bruce and Harry.
Harry, the fans in Detroit might wake up tomorrow and look in the paper and see that Tim Cheveldae's won another game for the Winnipeg Jets. I know we talked a lot about him tonight, but talk about terrific goaltending.
Yes, he was exceptional tonight. 39, 37, and 41 shots against in his last 3 games, and he's won them all. You can't make a goalie do that every night, but Cheveldae's done it 3 straight nights, and the Winnipeg Jets are rejuvenated, and he's one of the main reasons.
Can't question the Canadiens' work ethic. They were pressing throughout the entire 3rd period, and then John LeBlanc scored his 2nd goal of the night with 2.5 minutes to go. Really a backbreaker for Montreal.
Well, Montreal knows if they score 1 goal in a game, you're not going to win. Some great work along the boards by Shannon before this, by Steen now. Shannon goes to the net. After he passes it, he continues to the net, draws 2 Montreal defensemen. That gives LeBlanc the time and the space to put it in to make it 3-1.
John LeBlanc with a couple of goals. Let's talk about Darren Shannon, who talked to Joe Pascucci right after the game. He's been the Jets' best forward for probably 9 or 10 games now. Extends a scoring streak again tonight with 3 assists.
Well, obviously, when you score in, 8 straight games, it's quite noticeable you're a player. But I love Shannon on the boards in his own end. and the way he controls the puck in the offensive zone. He doesn't just toss it out in front. He doesn't just tip the puck and pucks around the boards. He makes sure he gets it. And if you pinch against him on the boards, you're tangling with a pretty big, strong guy. And he's really come into his own here as an all-around hockey player for Winnipeg.
Huge win for the Jets tonight. Darren Shannon with those 3 assists, and Tim Shovelday with 39 saves as the Jets defeat the defending Stanley Cup champions 3-1. Our post-game show continues right after this.
The Lotto 649 jackpot is $15 million.
Just imagine.
I've always been good with numbers. My friends thought that was boring. When I told them I wanted a career in financial management, they thought that was boring. I decided the CGA program was the best for me. It gave me the financial background and computer expertise I needed to succeed in business.
They're ready for you in the boardroom.
Now I'm a certified general accountant, and there's nothing boring about the boardroom.
CGA, wherever sound financial decisions are made.
That's the uninhibited taste of Mexicasa.
A promotional consideration has been paid by the following.
Transform any room into a Bosch home workshop with Bosch Power Tools.
Let's review the scoring summary of this game in the first period. First minute, Nelson Emerson with his 28th of the season, Darren Shannon and Dave Manson with the assist. Then late in that period, John LeBlanc with his 4th goal in 10 games, Stefan Quintal and Darren Shannon getting the assist. No scoring in the second period as the Jets outshot the Canadiens 14-11, but the Canadiens outshooting the Jets 26-22 overall. And then in the third period, just one more goal. It also came late. It was by John LeBlanc. We look at the first period scoring summary, but the final was 3-1 for the Winnipeg Jets over the Montreal Canadiens tonight. And Tim Shovelday has joined us here in studio. And Tim, we're going to look at a number of your 39 saves tonight, and this one was off Kurt Muller.
Yeah, it was just sort of threw it in the slot there, and that's not after that, I'm not really in a real good position there. At the goalie school, you really want to stay off your butt, and you know, it was fortunate enough that the defenseman came back and cleared the rebound out of the way.
Yeah, they don't give you points for style, but it's effective.
Yeah, it wasn't, like I said, I think it was sort of the Tanya Harding there of goaltending, just sort of all over, flop and swim.
Yeah. Just an outstanding performance once again by yourself, and
here he just passed it across, and you know, he was on his backhand, so you know, I sort of had a feeling that he might have passed it to the guy in front, and he was fortunate enough to stay out.
Definitely a critical save when the score was 2-1 at that point off Dion, and here's one of those many glove grabs you made in the third.
Well, you know, I seen Leclerc going out there, and you know, and he just sort of spun around and fired, and it's what's really surprised me was that how hard he shot the puck, you know, when usually he never had much momentum, and it sort of caught me off guard, and I had to make a glove save there. It's sort of like one of those shots after he shoots, wow, boy, he can shoot the puck.
We were talking before we came on about Nelson Emerson's goal in the first minute there. It's funny that you have to score a goal at home early to get the crowd out of the game.
Yeah, it was real surprising how many Canadiens fans there are, you know, here. Like, you go to any Canadian city, you know, there's a lot of Habs fans, but it was good in the fact that, you know, both sets of fans are competing against each other. They're making noise throughout the game, and it created a lot of atmosphere and a lot of motion for both sides, and those are the games that are real fun to play in.
It was certainly a fun game for the Winnipeg Jets. The team came out with a lot of intensity, and I think that has started since the Dave Manson trade.
I definitely. We were playing with a lot of emotion. You know, guys are running around getting hits, and everyone's excited about playing the game of hockey. And when you win, you feel good coming to the rink. You know, everyone's in a good mood. You want to play the game, and you know, it's sort of contagious. You know, you just want to keep that feeling going.
Quick comment: can you make the playoffs still?
There's still a chance, you know, until you're mathematically out, you know, then you're done. But you just got to take it one day at a time, and then the old cliche, and that's all we're doing, and just go out there and have some fun.
Well, the team that Tim Shovelday and the rest of the Winnipeg Jets have to catch is the San Jose Sharks, and that's who the Jets and Tim Shovelday will play again on Friday. Tim Shovelday, thank you very much. 39 saves tonight. The Jets defeat the Montreal Canadiens 3-1, extending their winning streak to 3 games. We'll be back with lots more when our Molson Jets telecast continues after this.
What a shark is to its prey, target herbicide is to tough broadleaf weeds. Deadly, especially to weeds like Canada thistle and wild buckwheat. What a rattlesnake is to its prey, target herbicide is to tough broadleaf weeds. Deadly, especially to weeds like cleavers and Canada thistle.
When you don't win a game in 19 games, other fans will tend to get on you, but last night, the response we got with 15 seconds left was unbelievable. It was like the playoffs the last couple of years. All the white and white was just unbelievable, and it's a good feeling to have them behind us.
Speaking on behalf of the guys, we really appreciated when they got up on their feet and cheered us last night, because like I said, it's been tough on us, and we know it's been tough on them, so we appreciate their support.
It's hard to find a family untouched by Canadian Tire, by a first fishing rod, or decorating that tiny apartment. Why? Because Canadian Tire has always made it possible for families to get exactly what they need. Top quality and guaranteed low prices. There must be something to it, because we've been part of the family for a long, long time. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire for a lot less.
There are hundreds of ways to get in shape and hundreds more to stay in shape. You'll find them all at Athlete's Wear. Save $161 on a diversified products treadmill with 1 horsepower motor, built-in computer, and shock-absorbing surface. Now only $699. Make the right choice. Athlete's Wear, 145 Market, Pembina at Grant, and 860 St. James Street across from the arena.
The choice is there. Athlete's Wear.
Today, Safeway Score and Win Grand Prize winner will receive a trip for 2 to Orlando, Florida, home of Walt Disney World Resort. Ride the waves at Typhoon Lagoon. Party at Pleasure Island, where every night is New Year's Eve. See Aladdin's Royal Caravan and enjoy 99 holes of golf and more fun than you can imagine. Courtesy of Canadian Holidays, Canada's largest tour operator. Tonight's Grand Prize winner, Darlene DeZogan of Winnipeg. Play, Score, and Win at Safeway and watch the Jets on CKND.
gang in Beverly Hills become children of the 60s?
That's who I think it is. Tell them to get a hair.